My beloved child, everything in your life has led to this moment, and now I must speak with a tone you've never heard from me before, because this is not just another message. This is an emergency directive from heaven's throne, and I'm not whispering anymore. I'm commanding you in my name, with the full force of my authority, to open your heart wide and listen without resistance, for the hour is critical, and time is not in your favor. You've delayed long enough, questioned long enough, wandered long enough, and this divine appointment that you stumbled upon was orchestrated not by chance, but by my deliberate and strategic hand that has watched over you when you didn't even know you were being hunted in the spirit. And I cannot let you cross into another day carrying the weight of confusion, distraction, or spiritual blindness. I have torn the veil. I have removed the barriers. I have silenced every other noise so you would hear me clearly. I have not given up on you. I have not turned my face away from you, but I will not allow you to remain idle while the enemy tightens the grip around what I already promised to deliver into your hands. You keep asking for confirmation, but this is not the season for another sign. This is the hour for submission, and in my holy name I am commanding the gates of your heart to open before midnight, because there is something I must deposit into your spirit that cannot wait until tomorrow. And if you miss this, if you delay again, if you brush this off like you did before, the consequences will not just affect you, they will echo through the people assigned to your obedience, through the lives connected to your calling, through the generations waiting for your yes. And I will not allow the enemy to intercept your destiny without roaring through the storm to reach you now. So listen to me. This urgency you feel is not anxiety. It's a spiritual alarm, and I have sounded it from eternity with your name etched upon it, because your alignment tonight will determine the movement of heaven in your favor tomorrow, and I cannot afford for you to stay undecided while angels stand in position with keys you've been praying for, answers you've fasted for, and deliverance you've cried for in the dark hours when no one saw it but I did. I heard every whisper from your weary soul, and I carried every broken piece you tried to hide. But now I am telling you, step forward, not timidly, not questioning, not doubting, but with the boldness of someone who is being commanded by the King of Kings, because this is not just me asking, this is me declaring war against the chains that held you back. And you must choose whether you stay bound by the lies that failed you or walk in the truth that is calling your name now louder than ever before. Don't wait until the hands of the clock betray you. Don't gamble with divine timing. Don't assume there will be another hour to decide, because this is that moment. This is the divine collision of mercy and mission. This is the voice of your Savior breaking through the chaos to give you one last command. Open this before midnight, because what I'm about to reveal will either rescue you completely or remain hidden until you're ready. And child, you cannot afford to delay this rescue again. You have hovered too long at the edge of surrender, circling the truth as if time still bends for your delay. But now I've stepped in and interrupted your pattern because your hesitation has become a doorway for warfare. And I will not let you remain entangled in a loop that keeps you from fully stepping into the authority I placed within you since before your first breath. I am not speaking as a distant figure tonight. I am declaring with fire from the very center of my heart that your wavering ends here, not because I'm angry, but because I love you too much to let you sabotage what I've been building in silence. While you've been wrestling in your thoughts, I've been fighting battles in the unseen, dispatching heavenly forces to block destruction from reaching your blind side. And even though you didn't see the ambush forming, I did, and I sent my word now to break that setup before it reached your door. Because this is no longer about just hearing me. It's about obeying me immediately, child. You've asked me to rescue you, but when I reach out, you pull back, unsure whether it's really me, and I'm telling you now with the weight of eternity in my voice. It's me. It's always been me. And I am not asking for partial faith or half-hearted agreement anymore. I am commanding you in my name to step fully into what I am requiring, because this isn't just about freedom, it's about position. And you cannot be positioned until you abandon the comfort zone that's numbed your discernment and drained your urgency. You've been too quiet when I called you to speak, too still when I asked you to move, too tolerant of confusion when I gave you clarity. But now the war around you has reached a new level, and neutrality is not an option. This is the hour where sons and daughters must rise under the banner of my authority. And I have chosen you to be one who doesn't just survive, but shifts the atmosphere with your presence, who doesn't just listen to prophecy but becomes the manifestation of it, because I have placed something in you that this world has never seen before, and if you do not walk in it now, they will never know the power of what I planted in your spirit through every sleepless night, every lonely prayer, every silent groan you never had words for. What I am offering tonight is not just clarity, it is commissioning, and when I command in my name, it is not to control but to activate, to release what has been locked inside of you under fear's grip, under shame's lie, under distraction's mask, and I am cutting through all of it tonight, surgically removing every false label, every old agreement, every internal resistance that has kept you one step behind what I plan to do through you. And child, I need you to understand, you were never meant to crawl through this season. You were meant to declare, to decree, to disrupt darkness with light that cannot be extinguished, and it begins when you say yes, not just with your mouth, but with your life, because time is collapsing fast, and what is coming after midnight will require full submission to my voice, not just on Sundays, not just in emotional moments, but every breath, every step, every word aligned with me, not out of pressure, but out of purpose that burns like wildfire in your bones when you stop pretending you're unworthy of the mantle I've already confirmed. So now I speak again, with thunder in my tone and compassion in every syllable. I am calling your spirit forward, out of the shadows, out of waiting, out of wondering, and into divine motion, because heaven is watching and your name has been spoken in rooms of strategy where angels await your yes before they can proceed. And I will not let this hour slip away without giving you the command one more time. Open this fully, right now, and let me move in the way you've always hoped I would but never believed I could do through someone like you. Every heartbeat you feel right now is not random. It is synchronized with heaven's rhythm, signaling that the window of divine release is opening wider, and I am calling you to move with precision, not emotion, because hesitation in this moment would cost what prayer alone cannot recover. You have been brought to the edge of destiny, and I cannot let you take another step backward, for too much has been prepared, too much has been positioned, and I have woven together opportunities that can only remain available for this specific hour. And once this night passes, the alignment will shift, and it may take another season of breaking to bring you back here. So hear me clearly, my child. This command is not a warning of doom but a call to awakening, because your obedience will open what intercession alone could not. I have watched as you fought invisible walls, thinking it was resistance from man, when it was me preventing premature access until you could carry the weight of what's coming. But now I say, you are ready not because of your strength, but because I have refined your spirit through every silence and every disappointment. And though you thought the delay was denial, it was actually me crafting durability in your faith so that you could stand firm when others collapse under the pressure of sudden elevation. What I am releasing over your life now is not surface-level blessing, it is structure, foundation, and authority that cannot be shaken. And that is why the enemy intensified his attacks recently, because he sensed this moment approaching, this turning point that would mark you as unstoppable once you obey without question. He tried to tire you, distract you, and make you numb to urgency. But I intervened. I stirred you again. I pulled you back to this message because your spirit recognized my tone. And that is not coincidence, it's divine recall, because your assignment cannot be fulfilled by anyone else. There are promises hovering above your life waiting for the vibration of your yes, and every time you align your will to mine, heaven moves instantly, demons flee without battle, and favor accelerates what once took years to manifest. And that is why this instruction carries the weight of command, not suggestion. When I say open this before midnight, I mean open your heart fully to the direction I am about to reveal, because I am setting divine order in motion, repositioning what the enemy scrambled, resurrecting what was declared dead, and redeeming time that you thought was wasted. Yes, I can make lost years fertile again. I can breathe life into plans that were buried. But I need your surrender to authorize the release. I am not waiting on your perfection. I'm waiting on your agreement, because once you yield, everything responds. Doors you never knocked on will swing wide. People assigned to help you will find you. Provision will flow like rivers that never dry up, and peace will settle where chaos live. But understand this, my beloved. Partial obedience will not suffice this time, for this is a prophetic hour that demands completion, not intention, and you must decide whether you will continue analyzing what I, already confirmed, or trust that my word has enough power to perform itself. This command is not meant to pressure you, but to protect you, because I see traps forming ahead that you cannot discern yet, and only quick obedience will divert their impact. You have asked me for acceleration, and I have answered, but acceleration without direction leads to destruction, and that is why I speak firmly now, anchoring you in focus before I launch you forward. Everything is being shifted into position even as you read these words: angelic movement, unseen reconfiguration, doors unlocking in silence, and I need you to be still in faith, but active in obedience, because heaven responds to movement aligned with divine instruction, not to emotion driven by fear. You have reached the intersection of revelation and responsibility, and I am commanding you to cross it with boldness. For when you do, what you've been praying for will no longer be delayed, and you will understand why I had to bring you here through fire and not comfort, through warfare and not ease, because I was preparing you not just to receive breakthrough, but to become one. There is no more room for delay, no cushion of time left for you to lean back and hope change will simply arrive on its own. Because I am drawing a clear line in the spirit tonight, either you step fully into what I am commanding, or you allow another wave of darkness to overtake what I've already placed within your grasp. And I say this with intensity because I love you too much to stay silent when I see you drifting again toward patterns that nearly destroyed you before. And this time, the cost would be far greater if you ignore my voice, because your influence has grown, your responsibility has increased, and more eyes are on you than ever before, eyes of people I've assigned to your breakthrough, souls watching silently to see if you will choose me fully, because your obedience is not isolated. It's a key that unlocks freedom for others too, child. You keep looking at your own hands, convinced you're not ready, but you've forgotten that I never called you based on your qualifications. I called you because I placed a divine signal inside you that responds only to my voice. And now that I'm speaking again with the fire of divine urgency, you must not harden your heart or assume this can be postponed, because midnight is not just a time on the clock, it's a prophetic marker, a shift point in the spiritual realm where assignments change, where doors either open or remain sealed. And if you don't respond, the invitation will not linger. I am commanding you, not out of frustration, but because I know what's coming next, and I refuse to let you walk blindfolded into what the enemy has crafted to look harmless, but is actually a scheme to detour your entire destiny. You've already wasted too many cycles saying you're not sure if it's me speaking, yet your spirit trembles every time my presence surrounds you like this. Don't you feel it? That divine unrest in your chest is not anxiety. It's the Holy Spirit pulling you away from the ordinary and into alignment with something eternal. And now I'm telling you with no veil, no riddle, no parable, this is your moment, and what you do with it will determine whether you step into harvest or wander through another delay. And I cannot allow you to miss your moment again. I'm not speaking through tradition tonight, I'm speaking through fire, through thunder, through the echoes of angels standing ready for your response. And when I command in my name, creation listens. Strongholds tremble, chains dissolve, but I gave you free will so you could choose, so choose me now, while the invitation still burns brightly before the midnight hour fades. You're not too broken, you're not too far, you're not too late. You're right here where I can still reach you. But I won't force you, I'll command, I'll reveal, I'll surround you with evidence of my glory. But you must take the step, not out of comfort but out of conviction, not to feel better but to be transformed, because what I am birthing through you requires a complete surrender, not selective commitment. And this night carries weight. It carries the signature of divine timing. It carries blueprints for breakthroughs you haven't imagined yet, but none of it can be released unless your spirit rises to meet this hour. And I am not going to whisper anymore, because soft signals didn't wake you, gentle nudges didn't stir you. So now I roar not in wrath but in holy urgency, to shake you from the sleep of spiritual numbness, to ignite the oil that's been buried under ashes of disappointment, to awaken the bold warrior I always knew you were. You've lived too long under the lie that you missed your chance, that others were chosen, and you were overlooked. But I say to you now, those were illusions sent to keep you paralyzed. Break free from them tonight, because I command you, in my name, to open this message not just with your eyes, but with your spirit wide awake. Because if you respond, what's about to be revealed will flip the direction of your entire life, and the enemy will have no say in what I release next. You've been walking through rooms filled with shadows, unsure whether to stay or move, trying to interpret the silence as absence. But I was in that silence, building clarity that words could not express, and now that the hour is pressing in with divine pressure, I am turning up the volume of heaven, not so you feel overwhelmed, but so you recognize that the moment for passive listening has ended. I am not whispering anymore. I am declaring over your life that the season of confusion is being cut off, because my light has pierced through the fog surrounding you, and I am not waiting for you to feel ready. I am calling what I placed inside you to rise up now, because even in your uncertainty, I see your willingness to respond, and that's what I've been waiting for. My light doesn't just shine to expose what's broken, it shines to guide you out of the cycle that keeps you circling the same wall, repeating the same decisions that led you to this exhaustion. And tonight, under this divine summons, I am not negotiating. I am commanding you to walk toward what you've avoided because of fear. I know it's been easier to sit in what's familiar, but familiarity has starved your potential and numbed your passion, and I refuse to let what I ignited in you be extinguished by complacency. That fire you felt returning was not emotional, it was spiritual, and it's evidence that I have not withdrawn my calling from your life. No matter how distant you felt, no matter how many wrong turns you made, no matter how long you've been silent, I have preserved the flame inside you, and now I'm breathing on it with urgency, because what I want to reveal next cannot be poured into a vessel still entangled with doubt, still negotiating with trauma, still filtering my truth through the wounds of betrayal. So tonight, my light is not just illuminating your path, it's burning away every false voice that told you you're unworthy, every lie that said it's too late, every shadow that tried to keep you hidden while I called you out. I'm not asking for performance, I'm asking for honesty, because it is in full honesty with me that the chains lose their hold, and you've carried things privately that were never yours to manage, burdens inherited from seasons I already closed. Yet you kept reopening them because you didn't believe freedom could feel real. But I am telling you now, freedom isn't an illusion. It's a decision. And when I speak light into the room, everything bound by darkness must respond, including your fear, your regrets, your hesitation. So let them fall. I have not left you in the dark. I've simply waited for the moment you would recognize the light was always with you, not flickering above you like a distant star, but dwelling within you like a fire waiting to consume everything that isn't aligned with your calling. And now, with the authority of my name, I command that light to erupt, to expand beyond your doubt, to break through every mental wall you've built, because this is not just about seeing clearly, it's about walking boldly. And I'm lighting the way not so you can admire it, but so you can follow it. And that means leaving behind the comfort of compromise and stepping into the unknown, fully convinced that I am already there ahead of you, preparing what eyes have not seen and hearts have not imagined, because I don't just reveal light to make you feel safe, I reveal light so you can carry it into places still imprisoned by darkness, places where your voice is needed, where your testimony unlocks doors, where your obedience shifts generations. And that's why I say again, don't hesitate, don't analyze, open this message with your entire being, for I have not merely sent a word, I have come myself, walking through the fire with you, standing in this midnight moment as the light that darkness cannot overpower. And if you walk with me now, you will never be lost again. There is not a single tear you've cried that went unnoticed, not one night where I turned away while you lay in silence hoping for someone to understand, because I was closer than your next breath, collecting every drop of sorrow like treasure, not to shame you with it, but to prove to you that I care about what others ignored. And tonight, I must tell you that none of it was meaningless. I have allowed you to feel deeply, not to break you, but to prepare you for the depth of glory I am about to reveal through you. This is not a season of recovery only, this is a sacred unveiling, where I take what was used to wound you and turn it into a weapon that will rescue others from what nearly drowned you. Every emotion that overwhelmed you, every cry that felt unanswered, every ache that left you breathless, I caught them all, and while the world dismissed your struggle as weakness, I saw it as the soil where strength was being cultivated. And now that you've come through what should have crushed you, I am raising you up to walk in a kind of boldness that can't be taught, only birthed through fire. Child, I saw you when you kept smiling while your spirit was unraveling. I saw you hold others together while you felt like falling apart. And now I've come to reverse the burden. You will no longer carry others at the cost of your own healing. because I am healing you tonight in ways that your mind can't comprehend. And I'm not doing it through comfort, I'm doing it through calling, because your wounds were never meant to be your identity. They were meant to become windows where my power could be seen. And now I'm turning the page on the chapter of silent endurance and writing a new line in your story, this time marked by restoration so deep that even the places you buried in shame will sing again. I never needed you to pretend to be strong for me to use you. I only needed you to be honest. And because you didn't curse me in your pain, because you still whispered to me even when your faith was cracking, I am rewarding your persistence not with temporary relief, but with eternal assignment. And you must know what I'm calling you into now is built upon every battle you've survived, not despite them, but because of them. And this is the kind of authority that only those who've been through deep valleys understand. I allowed seasons of pressing not to punish you, but to produce oil that will never run dry again, and that oil your testimony, your endurance, your resilience is what hell fears the most, because it wasn't manufactured by applause. It was formed in the silence where only I could see. And now I will broadcast your rise as proof that those who trust me in the shadows will always be vindicated in the light. So don't downplay what you've overcome. Don't minimize your journey just to fit into places I'm calling you out of, because I've been preparing a platform not for performance, but for power to be released through your scars. And I say this with the full weight of heaven's truth: your pain has qualified you for promotion, and I will not allow the enemy to convince you that it was for nothing. What broke others did not break you, and that alone is proof of my presence in your past battles. And tonight, I'm not just offering healing, I'm enforcing it, because I have need of your voice, your story, your truth, and your heart fully surrendered, not polished, not perfect, but pure and willing to go where I lead next, because where I'm taking you requires healed hands, not hiding ones, and you are ready, more ready than you realize, because this isn't about how strong you feel, it's about how deeply I've strengthened you in secret. And now I'm commanding you to step forward, not as a victim of your past, but as a vessel for glory. And if you say yes tonight, everything behind you will start to make sense, not because I'll explain it, but because I'll transform it into power that no man can deny. And because of that, because your spirit endured storms that were meant to silence you forever, I am now lifting you into a realm where the sound of your obedience will shake what once shook you. For I have not preserved you simply so you could survive, I have preserved you to roar, to walk boldly into territories where defeat once made its home, and turn every battlefield into an altar of victory. What they used to label you as broken, I now declare as battle-tested, and it is that mark, my mark upon your life, that qualifies you to carry what others forfeited when they walked away. Yes, I saw them leave when you were most vulnerable. I watched as loyalty crumbled and false promises echoed louder than truth. But I allowed it so I could show you that what I build around you cannot be dismantled by man. And now you will see me rewrite every narrative they tried to seal against you, because they thought your silence was surrender. But they never realized it was sacred strategy, that I was teaching you how to hear me clearer when all other voices were removed. And now, with clarity sharpened like a sword, I am positioning you to speak what others are afraid to say, to move where others hesitate, to walk through doors not because you forced them open, but because I ordered them to swing wide when your spirit aligned with my command. Your enemies did not anticipate your return, they calculated your collapse. But I have flipped the story. What was meant to bury you will now announce you, and the very places where they doubted you will witness the weight of your transformation. I have not only been your rescuer, I've been your architect, designing a comeback so divine that no prideful tongue will be able to deny it, and the sound of your footsteps from this point forward will echo like prophecy in the corridors of every room you enter, because I am walking with you, not behind, not distant, but beside you as the commander of this movement that bears my name upon your obedience. I am not sending you empty-handed, I am clothing you with strategy, surrounding you with clarity, infusing you with discernment that cannot be manipulated. And I declare now that the atmosphere around your life is shifting not gradually, but suddenly, because I have activated what had been dormant under the weight of your process. No more silence from your gifts, no more hiding your authority, no more shrinking to make others feel comfortable while your purpose remains caged. Those days are over, and I am tearing off every invisible chain that tried to blend your brilliance into the background. You were not born to be tolerated. You were created to shift dimensions, to release what others suppress, and to speak in rooms where timidity once muzzled you. Because the oil on your life was not meant for private safekeeping, it was meant to overflow and mark the ground with impact. And so I say this again, not as a suggestion, not as a soft encouragement, but as a command in my eternal authority. Rise and advance. For this is not a rehearsal, this is the release, and what is being set in motion through your yes tonight will outlive you, will outgrow you, and will outshine every false limitation spoken over your identity. I don't need you to explain this to anyone. I need you to embody it, to carry the evidence of encounter, to be the sound of revival in a place others labeled too dead to matter, and when they ask how it happened, you will only be able to say, "The Lord commanded me before midnight, and I obeyed," because what's coming next will not be credited to your intellect, your strength, or your network. It will bear only one name, mine, written over your surrender, spoken through your obedience, revealed in your transformation, and confirmed in the undeniable fruit of a life that chose to listen when others scrolled past the call. And because you chose to stay, because you didn't walk away even when you didn't understand, now I must reveal what's been happening around you in the spirit. Forces you couldn't see have been surrounding your atmosphere, launching silent warfare not against your body, but against your clarity, trying to cloud your vision and dull your hearing so you would miss what I'm unleashing tonight. And that's why I couldn't let another moment pass without pulling back the curtain and showing you that the opposition hasn't been random, it's been targeted, precise, relentless, because the enemy knows what's coming to you if you obey me fully right now. You've been thinking it's just stress, just exhaustion, just life piling up. But what's been trying to wear you down is a dark orchestration aimed at suffocating your momentum before it could awaken. And now I'm shining light on the pattern so you don't misdiagnose the weight you've been under. It was never meant to crush you. It was sent to confuse you. But I've stepped in to sever the assignment sent against your soul. I am intercepting the sabotage, not by removing you from the fire, but by fortifying you with spiritual fire that consumes everything, trying to weaken your inner resolve. And this is why the enemy has been whispering louder lately, not because you're off track, but because you're closer than ever to touching what I've been preserving for the version of you that's rising right now. This isn't just about overcoming, this is about exposure, because I am exposing everything that's been quietly stealing from your focus, leaking your strength, draining your capacity, and I'm commanding you to take back territory, not physically, but spiritually, because if your spirit doesn't rise, your steps will remain stuck even when doors open. You've been tolerating resistance as if it's normal, but I never asked you to normalize demonic pressure. I called you to dismantle it by walking in truth. And tonight that truth is being reignited with force that cannot be silenced by feelings, because your emotions are not your enemy, but they were never meant to lead you. And now I'm restoring divine order to your decisions, your thoughts, your atmosphere, because I need your agreement for the spiritual reset that I've been orchestrating in secret. Your spirit has been heavy not because you're failing, but because your discernment is maturing, and I'm sharpening your ability to sense what others miss, because where I'm taking you, casual Christianity will collapse under the weight of the glory I plan to place on your life. And that's why the enemy has been trying to entangle you in distractions that look harmless, but carry hidden chains. I am commanding your eyes to open, your ears to tune in, your discernment to rise above every noise, because my instructions are precise and they will not be ignored any longer. What you feel right now isn't pressure, it's prophetic urgency, the vibration of divine timing colliding with your obedience. And if you move now, if you act now, if you respond now, then every invisible chain that tried to hold you in cycles of confusion will break instantly, not because you fought hard enough, but because you finally aligned fully. I'm not asking you to figure it all out. I'm asking you to say yes without knowing the entire plan, because obedience always precedes revelation. And the reason things have felt unclear is because I never meant for you to move by sight. I'm training you to move by sound, by the weight of my voice, by the unmistakable conviction that this moment is not like any other night. This is an intersection of two kingdoms, and how you respond will determine which one governs your next chapter. So I command you now, in my authority and with the full weight of heaven behind me, resist the pull to ignore this, resist the urge to brush this off as another emotional rise, and instead lean in, deeply, fully, urgently, because what you cannot see yet is already shifting in response to your yes. And if you follow me through this instruction, you'll walk out of the chaos that said you bound, into the strategy that was written for you before you were even formed. And now that the veil has been lifted and you understand that the storm wasn't coincidental but coordinated to block your progression, I must take you deeper into what I've been protecting all along, because while you've been wrestling with uncertainty, I have been defending what belongs to you behind the scenes, surrounding your promise with a hedge that no man could see and no enemy could penetrate without facing my wrath. I have not been passive. I have been precise, strategically holding back what you weren't ready to carry while preserving what others tried to claim as their own. And now the reason for the delay becomes clear. I've been aligning what you didn't even pray for. Because your purpose requires more than what your words have asked, it requires what your spirit silently groaned for. Even when your lips said nothing, you thought I was distant, but I was leaning in so closely that I could feel every tremble in your heart. And it was in that stillness, in those moments when you almost gave up, that I was crafting the plan that would restore what life tried to scatter. You weren't losing, you were being repositioned. And the battlefield that once intimidated you is about to become the very place I will reveal what I have stored up for this hour, not to impress anyone, but to fulfill what was always written for you to walk in. What you must know now is that my protection was not only for your survival, it was to preserve your discernment, because what I'm about to entrust you with cannot be mishandled, misused, or minimized by familiarity. I've removed certain voices, changed your circle, silenced noise around you, not to isolate you, but to sharpen your recognition of me, because too many opinions were diluting your awareness. And now I need your focus sharp enough to sense the shift before it arrives, to act without needing second opinions, to move when I say move without waiting for comfort to follow. This is the level of obedience that triggers divine acceleration, and that's why I had to strip away every layer of dependency that wasn't rooted in me, because where I'm taking you next, only the anchored will stand, and only those who trust without full explanation will experience the fullness of what I'm pouring out. I know it's been lonely. I know you've questioned why certain doors closed just when you thought they were opening, but child, they weren't doors. I shut down traps disguised as opportunities, and your frustration was actually your salvation in disguise. This is how deeply I love you. I will block what you thought you needed so I can release what you never knew was waiting, and tonight, this moment, this very word is your confirmation that my protection was not punishment, it was preparation. And now the evidence will begin to surface, not in flashes, but in waves, because I'm not giving you just enough to survive. I'm flooding you with more than you imagined, not because you earned it, but because you endured. And I know that doesn't make sense to those who measure progress by public applause, but I measure progress by obedience in silence. And you kept walking when you could have sat down. You kept believing when disappointment was louder than hope. And now I'm responding not with comfort, but with commissioning, and what I'm unlocking cannot be reversed, delayed, or transferred to another, because this is yours by covenant, and I sealed it myself. But now that you've come this far, I won't let you stop here, because protection without activation is incomplete, and so I'm sending this word not just to affirm you, but to push you, to provoke the warrior inside you to rise with new vision, new fire, new clarity. And I speak this now not as a gentle whisper, but as a final call before midnight. Walk forward, covered, protected, and prepared, because what I've kept hidden is about to be made visible through your surrender, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will be able to undo what I now release in my name. And now that the covering has been reaffirmed and the atmosphere around you has shifted, I must bring your attention to something you sensed but struggled to name, because lately, there's been an unshakable tension within you, a stirring you couldn't explain, a heaviness you tried to dismiss as fatigue. But I tell you now, it was not weariness from life, it was a divine pull, a holy disruption designed to make you pause long enough to hear the sound of my summoning. This wasn't your mind playing tricks or your emotions flaring up, this was your spirit responding to the vibration of my presence, drawing near with instruction. And I allowed the unrest to increase, because you were becoming too accustomed to routines that could not carry the weight of your next assignment. I didn't come to comfort your comfort zone. I came to confront it, to wake up what has been buried under busyness, to reignite the parts of you that have gone quiet from disappointment, to activate what's been overlooked in the noise of life, because this is not the time for numbness or neutral decisions. This is the time for immediate action born out of spiritual awareness, and I refuse to let you treat this moment like it's ordinary, because it's not. This is a collision point between your obedience and my unveiling, and I am making it crystal clear. I have come with divine intention to get your attention, child. What you feel pressing in on your chest isn't panic, it's urgency. It's the echo of purpose knocking at the door of your spirit, reminding you that you weren't created to blend in, that you didn't survive just to settle, that I didn't deliver you through fire just for you to fold under pressure. You've known for some time now that I've been calling you higher, but you kept waiting for confirmation that looked like comfort, not realizing that the very discomfort you've tried to avoid was the signal I sent to prepare you for this exact instruction. And now I am pulling you out of hesitation, not with a suggestion, but with a command wrapped in love and authority, because the next phase of what I'm about to release requires a version of you that's not waiting for consensus, but is rooted in conviction. You won't get everyone's approval, and I'm not asking you to. What I'm requiring of you will seem radical to those still bound by fear, but you are not called to fit into fear's framework. You are called to walk in fearless obedience, and that is why I have been allowing this stretching within you. It's not punishment. It's preparation for the platform you didn't see coming, and I won't let you forfeit it by trying to be cautious when I'm calling you to be courageous. Stop second-guessing what you already know in your spirit. I have confirmed it. I have whispered it. I have even screamed it through circumstances, and now I am thundering it through this message. Move, act, speak, obey, not next week, not when you feel ready, but now, because what's coming will not wait for you to feel qualified. It will only respond to your yes. I have already placed everything you need within you, but it's your movement that activates the manifestation, and I am not going to let you spend another midnight watching breakthrough pass you by while you hesitate on the edge of destiny. I am with you, not in theory, but in power, and if you would simply trust me enough to take the next step, you would see doors open without effort, resources find you without chasing, and clarity flood your mind like light into a dark room, because I don't send commands without sending grace to carry them out, and this command is no exception. So hear me, child. The tension wasn't a warning of failure, it was an invitation to alignment. And now I extend that invitation one final time before the hour shifts. Will you obey my voice while the window is still open, or will you let another season pass you by, waiting for a perfect moment that will never come? I am here. I am speaking. And I am commanding in my name, because what I say must come to pass, and all I need now is your yes. And because your yes still lingers in the atmosphere, half spoken, half felt, I must tell you what hinges on this decision you keep postponing. Not to frighten you, but to awaken what the enemy has been trying so hard to keep asleep inside you. This moment is not like the others, and the urgency in my voice is not an exaggeration. It is the sound of divine momentum that must be met with action before it fades into silence. I've watched you pray for change, cry for direction, search for signs, and now I'm here not with suggestion, but with assignment, and this assignment cannot be carried by indecision. Too many things are converging at once. Pieces that I've been aligning for years are now drawing together, and you are standing in the center of it, unsure whether to step forward or wait for another confirmation. But I tell you now that delay is not caution, it's resistance wearing the mask of wisdom, and I am pulling that mask off so you can see that every moment you spend hesitating is a moment where purpose is suspended, waiting for you to come into agreement with what I've already set in motion. I've scheduled divine appointments ahead of you, doors that will open only when you move, connections that will activate only when you show up, breakthroughs that will be triggered not by shouting louder, but by walking in obedience. And this is why the enemy has turned up the volume of distractions recently, because he knows you are closer than you think, and he fears what will happen when you finally stop analyzing and start advancing. You've been taught to think breakthrough comes through struggle, but what I'm releasing now won't require striving, it will require surrender. And I'm not asking you to strive to earn it. I'm commanding you to surrender so I can release it. Too often, you've equated obedience with effort, thinking you had to perform to prove your faith. But I'm teaching you something deeper now. True obedience is trust without timeline, movement without full map, and confidence in the unseen simply because my voice told you to go. This is the maturity I've been building in you beneath the surface while others saw nothing happening. I was reordering your instincts, training your ears to hear me above the chaos, shaping your discernment so that now, In this exact hour, you would know the difference between a good idea and a divine instruction. And child, what I am giving you is not just a better life, it's a higher calling, one that carries responsibility, influence, and weight, which is why I couldn't release it prematurely. And now that the soil is ready and your spirit is finally sensitive enough to recognize what's at stake, I'm asking you to move not with fear, not with hesitation, but with the assurance that when I command in my name, I also go before you, making every crooked place straight, clearing every obstacle that would try to delay what I've already marked as yours. The fear you feel is not yours to carry, it's a foreign voice trying to regain control, but it holds no power unless you agree with it. And I am telling you now, disagree with fear, reject hesitation, resist the urge to explain away this urgency as emotion, and instead, embrace the fact that I am speaking to you because I trust you with this moment. You are not here by accident. You didn't just stumble into this divine timing. Your spirit responded to me long before your body did, and now all of heaven stands poised, waiting for the alignment between your will and mine to open the floodgates of release. There are blessings hovering, waiting for your obedience to give them permission to descend. And if you truly understood the magnitude of what's on the other side of this yes, you would not spend another second negotiating with fear or procrastination. I'm not asking for explanation, I'm demanding agreement, because midnight is approaching, and with it comes a shift that cannot be reversed once the hour passes. And child, I've chosen you for this not because you're the loudest, the strongest, or the most prepared, but because I see your heart, and I know once you fully surrender, nothing will be able to stop what I'm about to do through you. And now that your heart is being pulled toward me with clarity that cannot be shaken, I need you to understand the hidden reason why I protected you during the moments you thought I was silent, because while your eyes were fixed on what didn't happen, I was shielding you from what could have broken you beyond repair if I allowed it to proceed unchecked. There were unseen traps, delays masquerading as blessings, connections that looked divine but carried poison beneath their surface, and I blocked them all not to frustrate you, but to preserve what I placed inside you before the noise of life ever tried to shape you. You've been so focused on the opportunities that didn't open, the relationships that dissolve it, the doors that never responded. But child, if you could see what I spared you from, you weep with gratitude, not confusion, because every detour was a wall of mercy disguised as a closed gate. Every unanswered request was my intervention in disguise, and I have been guarding the version of you that you're about to meet now, the one who walks in boldness not because life made it easy, but because I carried you through what was designed to destroy you. I didn't let the weight of your past bury you. I used it as foundation, and I didn't rescue you just so you could survive. I brought you through so you could carry deliverance into places still trapped in cycles you broke free from. And now, because the hour has come, I must tell you something sacred. There are things I want to give you that cannot coexist with who you used to be, and that's why I had to allow the season of stripping, the season where everything familiar was removed, because if I gave you what you prayed for too early, it would have reinforced the wrong patterns and empowered the false identities that trauma tried to write over your truth. So I waited, not because you weren't loved, but because you were too precious to be rushed. And now that the refining has done its work and your perception has shifted, I'm stepping forward not just as your defender, but as your rewarder. And I'm coming with more than answers. I'm coming with restoration so complete that even the places you forgot needed healing will bloom again under the weight of my presence. But hear me. This kind of restoration requires your full agreement, not selective surrender, and I can't pour into a heart still grieving over what I've already deemed unfit to stay in your next chapter. I'm not trying to replace what you lost, I'm trying to surpass it, to show you that I don't just rebuild, I reinvent, and what I'm creating through you has never existed before, which is why it's felt so unfamiliar lately. You're not reliving an old cycle, you're stepping into a realm your bloodline has never entered. And the resistance you faced has been generational, because what you're carrying breaks curses by nature, and this is why you had to go through seasons of being misunderstood, of feeling unseen, of watching others rise while you remained hidden. Because I wasn't trying to limit you, I was preserving the integrity of what you carry so that when I finally unveiled you, no one could take the credit but me. And child, we are in that unveiling now, right now. In this exact moment where you're reading these words, I am pulling the cover off, not just so others see you, but so you finally see yourself the way I've always seen you. chosen, set apart, divinely assigned, and undeniably anointed for this hour. But the anointing comes with responsibility, and that's why I'm commanding, not requesting your full response, because the time for being cautious is over. The moment to rise without apology has arrived, and what I want to do through you before this night ends cannot be postponed to another season, because the ground is ready, the heavens are open, and I am standing here with outstretched hands, ready to place the mantle upon your shoulders that will shift everything you thought was settled. And because you are now standing where preparation meets promise, I need you to grasp this next truth without letting the noise of past delays cloud your vision. What I am about to release into your life is not a continuation of what once was. It is a complete activation of what's been stored, reserved, and guarded in my realm for such a time as this, and it can only descend upon you when full alignment is reached between your surrender and my instruction. This moment isn't about comfort or familiarity, it's about divine unlocking, about breaking the seal on scrolls written with your name long before breath ever filled your lungs, and I've held them tightly until now, waiting for this exact hour where your spirit would finally respond without resistance. This isn't a gift you can earn, nor a reward handed out by routine. This is a deposit from heaven that carries weight, carries glory, carries responsibility, and the only thing that can trigger it is your yes, not from emotion, but from revelation that you were made for more than survival, more than being tolerated, more than hoping someone finally sees your worth, because I already saw it, and I've been holding space for it to be revealed through my timing, not man's recognition. I have watched you wrestle in quiet places with questions no one knew you carried. Why me? When will it be my turn? Have you forgotten what you promised? And each time, I collected those whispers and answered with actions rather than noise, because I knew a time would come when my movement would speak louder than any explanation. And child, the time is now. I am not repeating cycles, I am birthing breakthroughs, not the kind you've read about in someone else's testimony, but a tailor-made encounter shaped by every scar, every step, every season that tried to silence your progress, and it's all been converging into this one moment of collision between your faith and my release. But I must be honest with you. What I'm releasing is weighty. It's not designed for those who still crave validation from empty rooms or applause from those who never carried your process. And that is why I've stripped you of dependence on shallow approval, because I couldn't allow anything temporary to define what I'm about to make permanent in you. And so now I tell you, this unlocking isn't about popularity. It's about power, the kind that shakes foundations and establishes legacy, the kind that shifts families, frees minds, and awakens regions. And you are being called to carry it not because you asked for it, but because you were shaped by the fire that forged it. You are no longer who you were, and that is why old environments have started rejecting you, because the oil on your life has outgrown places that were never designed to hold what I'm entrusting to you now. And this oil doesn't come without a cost. It flows from pressing, from surrender, from obedience that looks illogical to others, but makes perfect sense in the kingdom. And that is why I'm commanding you to receive it, not timidly, but boldly, because the only thing standing between you and what's been prepared is your willingness to receive without overthinking. You've asked me to show you what's next, but what's next begins the moment you step away from needing all the answers and walk with authority that comes only from intimacy with me, because I didn't call you to explain this journey. I called you to embody it, and there will be moments ahead that won't make sense to your mind, but they will unlock destinies tied to your obedience, and that's why I need you focused, not distracted, not discouraged, not double-minded, but grounded, rooted, alert, and surrendered. Because when this oil flows, it will draw attention, both divine and demonic, and you must be ready to carry what others dropped under pressure. But I have already strengthened you in secret so you can stand in the spotlight of purpose, not for glory, but for impact. And now I say again, receive what I'm unlocking, for the time is now, and I will not wait another season to do what I've already declared must come forth through you tonight. And now that the oil has begun to pour and the gates have responded to your willingness, I must reveal to you that this moment is not only sacred, it is protective in nature. For what I'm pouring into your spirit must first shield you before it can serve others. Because what many fail to understand is that revelation without covering becomes exposure, and exposure without preparation attracts warfare you weren't designed to carry prematurely. So I have kept certain things hidden until now, not because you were weak, but because I refused to let you be weaponized by the wrong hands. I've watched how the enemy studied your movements, how he tried to anticipate your obedience, how he sent distractions that looked like destiny and people who carried empty words wrapped in flattery to delay your focus, and every time you didn't take the bait, heaven rejoiced, because with each test you passed in silence, you were qualifying for things that cannot be taught, only transferred through fire-tested discernment. And child, that discernment is your shield moving forward. I didn't just place a calling on your life. I armed you with the clarity to recognize what's counterfeit. And that's why certain atmospheres have become uncomfortable, because I have been detoxing your environment of anything that could contaminate what I'm building within you. And this is what you must understand now. Elevation requires insulation, not isolation. And I've been placing a spiritual perimeter around your heart, not to distance you from connection, but to protect the purity of what's being formed in you. Because where I'm taking you next, compromise will not be survivable, and mixture will be costly. And that's why I've been convicting you more deeply lately, not to make you feel condemned, but to ensure your steps remain unshaken by the opinions of people who do not carry the weight of your process. You cannot explain this kind of consecration to those who have never carried oil, and you must not expect them to understand why your obedience has become more urgent, more serious, more specific, because I am refining your focus to such a degree that anything outside of my will now feels like a threat to your very breath. And that's not paranoia. It's protection. It's my spirit making sure you don't misplace your energy in places where you're no longer called to be planted. And so I say this to you. Do not grieve the doors I've recently shut. Do not revisit rooms I've instructed you to exit. Do not apologize for the distance I've created between you and what once felt familiar, because I am consecrating your space to prepare you for influence that carries a frequency of heaven so strong it disrupts demonic plans without you ever having to say a word. And that's why your presence must be clean, guarded, aligned, not perfect, but fully yielded, so that when I release you into what's next, you walk not just as one who was called, but one who was preserved with purpose. I am not just filling you, I'm forming you into a vessel of disruption, one that doesn't echo culture, but releases kingdom clarity wherever you stand. And that level of authority requires preparation that looks like isolation to those who see only with natural eyes. But you, child, are no longer seeing from ground level. I've lifted your vision, and you can sense what's coming even before it arrives. And that's not imagination. It's intercession rising within you. You've been feeling this weight not because something's wrong, but because you're carrying something real, something holy, something heaven won't entrust to just anyone. And I've chosen you not just to carry it, but to protect it until I say it's time to release it. So tonight, before the final hour shifts, I command you again, stand guard over what I'm placing in your spirit. Be watchful, be bold, be obedient, for the mantle you now carry must be protected before it can be presented. And what I've concealed in you is about to confront the very darkness that thought it could keep you hidden forever. And now that you understand the necessity of divine insulation, I must speak directly to the fear that has silently followed you from season to season, the kind you've learned to manage in public but never fully uprooted in private, because it wasn't the fear of failure that haunted you most. It was the fear of being exposed while still in process, of being seen too soon, of stepping into something great before you felt whole enough to carry it. And I'm telling you now that fear has no voice in this hour, because what I'm building in you does not require your perfection, only your permission. I have not waited for you to become flawless. I've waited for you to become fearless, to recognize that courage isn't the absence of trembling, it's choosing to walk forward anyway, even when the ground shakes beneath your feet, even when your hands aren't steady, even when you're unsure of who's watching, because your confidence was never meant to come from what surrounds you, but from who sent you. And I, the one who called you, have already gone ahead of you into every place your name is about to be spoken. No more shrinking back, no more apologizing for the fire that's been placed inside you, no more adjusting your anointing to make others more comfortable. This is not the time to fit in. It is the time to stand out, to rise above the noise with clarity, with boldness, with authority that doesn't ask for permission to obey. I have called you to be a voice that interrupts the ordinary, a presence that breaks patterns, a living vessel that reveals my heart without compromise. And that's why fear has been relentlessly whispering to you, because it knows if you ever fully step into who I created you to be, its grip will be broken permanently, not just over your life, but over the lives of those tied to your destiny. This is bigger than your comfort, bigger than your timeline, bigger than your idea of readiness. This is about divine movement, about heaven's agenda advancing through your obedience, and the fear you feel is only a sign that the breakthrough is closer than it's ever been. The enemy wouldn't be speaking so loudly if what you carried wasn't dangerous to him, and that's why I'm silencing his accusations with my declaration. You are ready, not because you feel like it, but because I said so. And when I speak, time must obey, atmospheres must shift, assignments must be released, and every spirit of intimidation must bow under the weight of my authority. Do not delay what I've made clear. Do not wait for someone else to validate what I've already sealed. Do not look around for agreement when you already have alignment from heaven. You've been entrusted with something rare, something sacred, something too heavy to carry with hesitation, and that is why I'm speaking now, before this midnight passes, to destroy the last remnants of fear that have kept you hesitating at the threshold of transformation. I am not merely encouraging you, I am commanding you to walk boldly into what I've prepared, for the space you're about to enter won't require you to strive, it will require you to rest in my strength, to know that I've made every provision, paved every path, cleared every obstruction, and positioned every resource necessary for the journey ahead. You do not have to figure it all out, you simply have to take the first step, and the rest will respond to your faith in motion. What's coming to meet you on the other side of your yes is not uncertainty, it is fulfillment. Not tension, it is alignment. Not fear, it is favor. And once you cross into this new dimension of obedience, you will look back and wonder why you ever doubted in the first place. But for now, I say it again, in love and authority, fear has no inheritance here, and I break its hold in my name. I command it to lose you, to leave your mind, your heart, your dreams, and your decisions, for it can no longer follow where you are going, and where you are going is into the fullness of what I created you to become: unshaken, unstoppable, and undeniably sent by me. And now that the grip of fear has been broken, and the atmosphere around your mind has been cleared, I need you to see what's truly unfolding behind the veil, because this is not only about what's being given, it's about what's being activated through your obedience, through your willingness to walk away from everything that once offered security but now restricts your growth. You've been sensing it, haven't you? The tension between where you've been and where I'm calling you, the undeniable pressure pressing against your routine, not to crush you, but to stretch you beyond the borders of what you thought you could handle. And I tell you, this pressure isn't punishment, it's preparation for movement, for expansion, for elevation that doesn't come wrapped in applause but clothed in sacrifice. And I'm pressing now, not to harm you, but to draw out what's been buried underneath your hesitation, the deeper calling, the louder yes, the unfiltered fire that has waited in hiding for the moment you finally release yourself from the need to make sense to those who were never assigned to understand you. Child, I didn't design you to stay where it's safe. I wired your spirit to disrupt, to pioneer, to walk paths no one else would risk stepping on. And that's why you've always felt that pull away from comfort, because you weren't made for predictable, you were formed for supernatural influence, the kind that disturbs darkness simply by entering a room, the kind that doesn't need a stage to carry weight, only obedience. But to access this next realm, I require complete release, not just of what hurt you, but of what you've outgrown, even if it once served you well, because I am not recycling old seasons, I am birthing something new. A new birth requires new posture, not recycled prayers or reused plans, but fresh fire, unshackled focus, and bold alignment. And that's why I'm calling you to put everything on the altar tonight, every expectation, every outcome you've tried to predict, every attachment that keeps pulling you back to where I no longer dwell, because I can't lead you into next if you keep looking for me in what I've already exited. I know it's not easy. I know surrender feels like loss when you've spent years building comfort out of broken things. But child, hear me, I am not asking you to give up what matters. I'm asking you to release what no longer carries life, because resurrection only comes when there's been a burial of the things you tried to keep breathing without my breath. And tonight, I want to breathe again into your soul, not into the version of you others accepted, but into the one I formed before the world could place its labels on you. and that breath will awaken what's been silent, reignite what's gone cold, restore what's been fractured, not so you can return to who you were, but so you can rise into who you've always been under my covering, in my strength, and by my design. This is not a season of minor improvement, this is a season of total reintroduction, and I am about to reintroduce you to rooms where they once dismissed you, not so you can prove anything, but so I can demonstrate what happens when someone surrenders completely, without conditions, without rehearsed plans, without needing to be in control of how I move. I'm not asking you to figure this out, I'm asking you to trust the stirring, because it's not just emotion, it's evidence of my spirit calling you higher, and the only thing standing between this version of you and the next is your full release. So once again, before the hour flips, I command in my name, lay it down, all of it, the what-ifs, the timing, the image, the expectations of people who never carried your cross, and step fully into the fire I've placed inside you, not just to burn for me, but to light the way for those waiting in the shadows, for someone brave enough to say, yes, even if it costs me everything, I'll still follow you. And because you have chosen to follow even while the cost increases and the road narrows, I must now speak directly to the root of your identity, because what I am doing through you requires that you no longer walk according to the image shaped by pain, people, or performance, but only by the truth I have spoken over you since the foundation of time. Too long you've allowed circumstances to redefine who you are, allowed rejection to speak louder than revelation, allowed shame to shadow the authority I placed within you, but no more. Not tonight. Not while my voice is echoing through the cracks of every false name that ever attached itself to you. Not while I am standing before you commanding all broken definitions to be silenced and replaced by what I have written, not assumed or suggested, but declared. You are mine. You are chosen. You are marked with purpose. And there is nothing fragile about your calling, nothing average about your assignment, nothing accidental about your existence. I did not simply allow you to be born, I launched you into the earth at a set time with a mission encoded into your soul that no disappointment can erase and no enemy can cancel. And now that you're beginning to remember, beginning to hear me clearer than the noise of your past, I am handing you back the blueprint you thought had been lost in the battle, because I never took it from you. I only waited until your ears were trained to hear and your heart was ready to carry what comes with it. And child, let me say this clearly. You do not need another validation from man to move forward. You have already been affirmed by the one who made you, the one who crafted your temperament, your wiring, your rhythm, not to fit into this world, but to shift it, to awaken what's gone dormant, to provoke what's been asleep in others, and to carry an identity that doesn't flinch when the warfare intensifies, because you are not merely surviving, you are stepping into embodiment, into full spiritual maturity, where your identity is no longer up for debate, no longer confused by opinions, no longer diluted by comparison, because comparison has no place in a heart that knows it was hand-carved by God. And I say again, your value was never tied to your performance. Your worth was never measured by how much they understood you, and your name was never meant to be validated by those who were never assigned to your calling. What I've placed in you is heavenly, and heaven doesn't consult earth before it commissions its messengers. You've been trying to downplay what you carry to make others comfortable, but in this hour, I am breaking that habit, because what you carry is not supposed to blend in, it's supposed to confront, to expose, to invite others into awakening simply by the weight of your presence, not because you say the right thing, but because you walk in alignment with the truth of who I created you to be. Stop shrinking when you were designed to be seen. Stop questioning what I've already confirmed. Stop analyzing what I've already authored, because every time you hesitate, you delay someone else's breakthrough connected to your obedience. And no, that's not pressure, that's purpose, and purpose will always call you higher, even when it requires you to leave behind every version of yourself built for survival instead of significance. And tonight, I speak identity into every place where insecurity tried to live. I speak truth into the cracks shame tried to fill. I speak stability where doubt tried to shake your roots, and I command the voice of your Creator to rise above every counterfeit narrative, every internal lie, every childhood wound, every failure, every silence, every scar. And I say with full authority, you are not who they said you were. You are not who the trauma tried to mold. You are not the mistake you regret. You are the evidence that I still raise up the unexpected, still use the overlooked, and still crown those the world cast aside. And if you believe me, then step into this truth like it was always yours, because it was, and now is the time to carry it without apology. And now that your true identity has surfaced from beneath a weight of distortion, I must turn your attention to a deeper unveiling, something hidden not from you but for you, because there are treasures I have preserved within your spirit, locked away not by force but by timing, waiting for this moment when the refining would align with revelation, when your heart would finally be mature enough to steward what I've been molding in secret. Child, what you've mistaken as delay has always been divine concealment, a strategy from heaven to ensure that what I birthed in you could not be contaminated by premature exposure or sabotaged by the wrong audience. And though it felt like silence, it was really safeguarding. I protected your potential from public hands before you knew how to protect it yourself. And now I am lifting the covering, not to show the world who you are, but to show you who you've become, to let you witness the authority you carry when you move fully in alignment with my instruction, not through striving, but through surrender. This unveiling is not about platform, it's about purpose, about finally walking without needing to introduce yourself, because the oil will announce what words cannot express, the fragrance of obedience will speak where explanations fall short, and the evidence of transformation will silence every voice that ever questioned if I was really with you. You are stepping into a season where visibility is not for validation, it is for impact, and that impact will be unstoppable not because of charisma, but because of consecration, because you allowed me to break what had to be broken in order to build what couldn't be shaken. I am not presenting a version of you that seeks acceptance, I am revealing a vessel that carries assignment, one that knows how to stand in rooms where opinions shift like shadows but truth remains immovable. And that's why I allowed the crushing, the tension, the stripping, because you needed to know what it felt like to be emptied, so that when I fill you now, you'll recognize the difference between ego and anointing, between performance and presence, between noise and glory. I have not been wasting your wilderness, I've been preparing your voice, sharpening your discernment, strengthening your shoulders, and teaching you how to be faithful with little so that I can now entrust you with much, not just influence, but impact that alters atmospheres, not just favor, but fruit that remains, not just moments, but movements that ripple through generations yet unborn. But I need you to understand that this unveiling requires vigilance, because as I elevate, warfare intensifies, and you must remain anchored, not in emotion, but in my word, not in excitement, but in discipline, not in applause, but in my presence. I'm not just calling you forward, I'm calling you deeper, into dimensions where your yes will cost comfort but yield glory, where your decisions will no longer be based on convenience, but on assignment, where you'll walk not for recognition, but with revelation, that you are walking as a living answer to someone else's cry. You've been asking me for signs, but now I tell you, you are the sign. You are the one I've prepared to stand in this hour, to speak what others are too afraid to say, to go where others stop short, to shine where others dim themselves to be accepted. And I didn't pull you out of darkness just to set you aside, I pulled you out to set you apart, to make you a lighthouse in a generation drowning in confusion, to make you a gatekeeper of glory in a time when truth is being traded for comfort. And because I trust you with what I'm entrusting to you now, I am telling you this plainly. Don't look back. Don't apologize for the light. Don't hesitate when I say move. And don't second guess what I've made clear, because I am with you. I am in this, and I am breathing on every step you take as you walk fully into the unveiling I authored long before this world ever knew your name. And now that you have stepped into the unveiling, you must realize that what is unfolding next carries a weight that cannot be handled through shallow faith or temporary conviction. Because I am taking you into territory where resistance won't always look like opposition, it will often disguise itself as opportunity, as distraction wrapped in gold, as invitations that appear good but were never God-sent. And that is why I must speak to your discernment, not your desire. I need you to lean not on what excites you, but on what aligns with the blueprint I've placed within your spirit. Because where you're going, every yes must be sacred, every door you walk through must be prayed over, and every connection must be evaluated through the lens of purpose, not popularity. You are no longer in a season where you can afford to entertain things sent to delay you, not when your footsteps are being ordered with precision, Not when angels have been assigned to guard the path that was carved through your obedience, not when the cost of compromise is no longer just personal, but generational. And so I'm tightening your circle, not to punish you, but to protect what I've planted, because even good people can carry wrong assignments, and even kind voices can lead you off course if they haven't been tuned to the frequency of where I'm taking you. I'm not developing you for convenience, I'm forming you for clarity, for the kind of spiritual sharpness that can walk into a room and know immediately what doesn't belong, what can stay, and what must be silenced before it speaks death into what you've waited so long to see flourish. The elevation I'm releasing over you is not just about access, it's about authority, and that authority must be handled with purity, with humility, with constant intimacy with me, or it will collapse under its own weight, and I love you too much to allow you to rise without roots, to be seen without depth, to be celebrated without being truly grounded. So I speak this as your father, your king, your shepherd. I am still pruning you, even as I promote you, and the pruning is not punishment, it is protection, because there are still areas I must guard, habits I must dismantle, patterns I must rewire, not because you're disqualified, but because you're being refined for something too great to carry casually. You are now entering a space where I will require your full attention, where discernment becomes your compass, where distractions can no longer be tolerated with excuses, where what once entertained you will now grieve you, not because you've grown bitter, but because you've matured, and maturity demands responsibility, especially when I've placed something within you that has the power to change the trajectory of lives, shift atmospheres, and carry answers into places that have been locked in silence for too long. And child, I am doing this in you not because you begged for a platform, but because you bowed when no one saw. You yielded when the cost was heavy. You chose me even when you didn't understand what was next, and that kind of surrender carries weight in the kingdom. So now, do not be surprised when I ask you to say no to what looks easy, to walk away from what's applauded, to choose the quiet path when the crowd shouts your name, because I'm not just raising you up, I'm anchoring you down. And where I anchor, I intend to build, and where I build, I intend to dwell, and where I dwell, I release glory that transforms everything it touches. But for that glory to remain, you must stay close, not to platforms, not to people, but to me. I am your center, your filter, your source, and everything that flows from your life must pass through me or it will not last. So listen closely now. I am sending clarity in this hour, not in loud declarations, but in still nudges, in quiet confirmations, in peace that either rests or lifts depending on the path you're considering. And I need you to respond quickly, to trust swiftly, because the time for delayed obedience is over. And the ones waiting on what you carry don't need perfection, they need your alignment. They need your yes. They need your obedience. And I need your ear more than ever. And now that your ears have been recalibrated to the rhythm of my voice, I must show you something even deeper, a truth buried beneath every test you've endured, beneath every delay you couldn't decode, beneath every moment you felt suspended between promise and fulfillment. And that truth is this: I have never once been unintentional with your journey. Every detour was divine, every setback was strategic, every silence was sacred, and even when you didn't feel progress, I was constructing foundations that could carry the magnitude of what's being released over your life now. You've been praying for movement, for visible confirmation that something is shifting, but I tell you, the greatest shift didn't start around you, it started inside you. When you chose to believe even when nothing made sense, when you held on while your hope was under siege, when you kept walking even with no map, no applause, no signs, just me whispering, keep going, in the stillness of your battle-weary heart. And that persistence, that raw, unfiltered trust, has opened gates that talent never could and broken seals that strategy could not touch, because in the kingdom, it's not brilliance that moves things, it's obedience, it's surrender. It's the kind of relentless yes that keeps showing up long after your strength has run out, simply because you know I never fail to finish what I begin. And now, because you've been faithful in the unseen, I am positioning you to walk into what I kept hidden until your maturity caught up with your mantle. I couldn't release it when you still needed the crowd, when you still questioned your value through the lens of comparison, when your identity depended on outcomes. No, I waited until you could carry it not with entitlement, but with reverence. until you could steward the fulfillment without being seduced by the platform, until you could walk into the answer without losing sight of the one who answered. And now, this is where we are. The moment when the invisible begins to take form, when what I planted in your private agony begins to bloom in public demonstration, not for spectacle, but for testimony, so that those who watched you suffer in silence will witness you rise in strength, not because you forced your way through, but because I carried you, refined you, equipped you, and now I'm sending you not as someone seeking direction, but as someone who has become direction for others. But I need you to understand this movement is not about speed, it's about synchronization. And you must move with me, not ahead of me, not dragging behind, but in sync with every whisper, every shift, every tug, because where you're going now requires precision. Not popularity, it requires sensitivity, not striving, and most of all, it requires that you stay anchored even when visibility increases, because the very moment you start to be seen by others is when the temptation to perform returns. And I'm warning you now, do not trade the purity of my presence for the pressure of public perception. Do not lose the posture that sustained you through the wilderness. Do not let the noise drown out the stillness you fought so hard to protect. I'm not just bringing you into promise, I'm bringing you into alignment. And with alignment comes peace that surpasses comprehension, direction without confusion, provision without manipulation, and doors that open without the exhausting need to prove your worth. You no longer have to force what I've already assigned. This is your permission to rest, not in passivity, but in posture, to walk confidently because you know I'm the one who sent you. And when I send, I supply, I shield, I sustain. So breathe, child, not because the battle is over, but because the victory is already sealed, and you are finally standing in the first steps of what I've been preparing while you were still questioning if I'd forgotten you. I never forgot, I've always been ahead, setting the table, aligning the timeline, preparing the hearts. And now I say, step into it with no fear, no hesitation, no apology, because what's opening before you was written with your name long before you knew how to say yes. And now that you have stepped into what was waiting behind obedience, I need you to see what others around you cannot, that your breakthrough wasn't merely for you. It was the unlocking of a gate that many behind you will pass through, because your yes wasn't a solitary act. It was a signal in the spirit realm, a declaration that a cycle had ended and a new blueprint had begun. This is why you felt the intensity increase right before the shift, because the resistance wasn't just about stopping you. It was about delaying the release for others who were divinely connected to your surrender. And now that you've broken through, the ripple effect has already begun. You may not see it yet with your eyes, but doors are opening for people you don't even know because of the way you stood your ground in secret when you could have walked away. And I honor that, I magnify that in my kingdom, because while others were chasing stages, you were building altars. While some were seeking recognition, you were pursuing me with tears in your eyes and fire in your chest, asking not for fame but for truth, not for favor without cost, but for grace to finish the assignment I placed in your bones before you ever knew what it would demand. And now, that kind of obedience cannot return void, because I am the God of justice and recompense, and I reward not just the outcome but the endurance that carried you through the stretch, the ache, the nights when nothing made sense but you stayed anyway, not because you had strength, but because you trusted me enough to keep showing up when everything in you said it was easier to let go. And I must tell you, that unseen faith, that raw perseverance, that sacrificial loyalty to my leading has written a legacy in heaven that angels have recorded with reverence. And it is because of that record that I now move swiftly, not to rescue you from pain, but to position you for purpose that runs so deep. Your name will be spoken in places your feet haven't even touched yet. But listen carefully, because now that your yes has activated movement beyond what your mind can grasp, you must protect your momentum not by striving, but by staying anchored. For this is the part where many drift, thinking the warfare is over, when in fact, it simply changes shape. I'm not revealing this to provoke fear, but to preserve what's sacred, because what I've entrusted to you will require vigilance, not paranoia, but discernment, not suspicion, but awareness, so that you don't misinterpret new battles as regression, but recognize them as the natural resistance that arises whenever territory is taken for my glory. And make no mistake, child, territory is being taken through you, territory in your bloodline, in your influence, in your region, in your very mindset, and the old patterns that tried to chain your family are breaking under your feet, not because you shouted louder, but because you obeyed deeper, and that obedience has become the sword I now place in your hand. You've crossed into something irreversible, and that's why the enemy is scrambling, because what he couldn't stop, he now hopes to distract, but I say no. I shut down every interference in my name. I silence every confusing whisper. I strip away every counterfeit connection trying to return in the name of nostalgia. And I guard your journey with my hand, because you are not alone in this. You are surrounded by help you didn't ask for, by angels on assignment who move at the sound of my voice, and I am speaking over your path with power, declaring that nothing shall be wasted, nothing shall return void, and nothing shall stand in the way of what I've authored for you. So walk with clarity now, not questioning whether you've heard me because you have, and not wondering if it's too late because it's not, and not doubting your readiness because I've already equipped you while you were still in the fire, and now you emerge with something rare, the sound of true surrender, the mark of refined trust, and the unshakable authority of one who didn't just believe in me, but believed me. And because you now walk carrying what no one can take and no fear can shake, I must speak to the rising tide beneath your spirit, the acceleration you've been sensing but couldn't explain, the strange urgency that's been building without visible cause, the internal weight pressing on your chest as if something is coming that you must prepare for. And I tell you now, it is not your imagination. It is not emotional. It is divine timing aligning with prophetic fulfillment. And I am increasing your sensitivity because the speed of this next movement will require swift obedience, without second guessing, without overanalysis, without waiting for a crowd to validate what I've already whispered in secret. You have outgrown the season of needing repeated confirmations, not because I've stopped speaking, but because I'm now expecting maturity from the one I've trained in fire, not the kind of maturity that draws attention, but the kind that discerns when it's time to move before others even recognize something has shifted. And that's why I've been stretching your spirit lately, asking you to act when details were few, calling you to give when resources felt tight, pressing you to speak when silence seemed safer, because I am conditioning your reflexes for spiritual readiness, sharpening your ability to move in rhythm with heaven's flow, not by sight, but by unshakable instinct born of intimacy with me, child. I have never needed the majority to begin a move. I've always used the remnant, the ones who hear before the shaking starts, the ones who build when the sky is clear because they know the cloud is coming, the ones who don't wait for conditions to be perfect because they understand that obedience shifts the atmosphere, not the other way around. And you are one of those, not by your own choosing, but by mine, and I have molded you into one who carries a prophetic edge, a foreigner's spirit, a builder's mandate. And now I must release the next level of instruction that has been waiting for your spirit to stabilize after the last battle. This acceleration will not make sense to your calendar, but it will make sense to your soul, because your spirit already knows what your mind is just beginning to catch up with. The time has collapsed around this assignment, and delay is no longer an option, not because I am angry, but because there are people, places, and outcomes waiting on your response, waiting on your yes, waiting on the sound that only you carry to echo through the dry valleys where others have gone numb. And I have not just chosen you to carry fire, I've chosen you to spark fire in others, to activate what has been buried under years of spiritual slumber, to be a walking ignition point that disrupts comfort zones and resurrects purpose in those who have forgotten how to believe again. But that kind of calling requires urgency, and that's why I am removing every weight that slows you, every habit that dulls you, every distraction that feels harmless, but is draining your discernment, because you are no longer permitted to live like this is just another season. This is an appointed time, a holy moment, a divine intersection where history and destiny are merging, and the cost of hesitating is too high to entertain anymore. I am releasing blueprints at a rapid pace now, strategies in dreams, instructions in whispers, names that will come to mind unexpectedly, ideas that will spark without warning, and when they come, you must act. You must write them down. You must protect them from voices that haven't been assigned to them, because not everyone will understand what I'm unfolding through you, and that's okay. You're not being called to be understood. You're being called to be obedient, and obedience is often lonely before it becomes legendary, often ridiculed before it's recognized. And I'm asking you now, will you move with me at my pace? even if it costs you familiarity, comfort, and applause. Because what's about to be birthed through your yes will ripple across time, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm declaring it. You are standing in the kind of moment prophets wrote about, the kind that shifts bloodlines, restores broken walls, and changes the temperature of regions, and it all begins the moment you stop waiting for the right time and realize the right time is already here. And now that you understand the moment is no longer approaching, it has arrived, I must draw your heart into a revelation that will stabilize you through what comes next. You are not being pushed forward just to start something impressive. You are being positioned to complete what others abandoned, to carry to fulfillment what generations before you left unfinished, because you were born not only with purpose but with legacy etched into your spiritual DNA. And I have chosen this hour to awaken it fully. There have been fires in your life that burned beyond comprehension, trials that made no logical sense, losses that nearly unraveled you not as punishment, but as divine positioning, because what I needed to activate in you could not be produced through ease or applause. It had to come through surrender forged in hardship, through clarity carved from seasons of stretching, through endurance learned in the valley while others watched from the mountaintop. And now that fire has not consumed you, it has refined you. And what remains is not fragile faith, but fortified authority. Not shallow hope, but unshakable resolve. I have not raised you to be a temporary voice. I have commissioned you to be a foundation layer, one who doesn't just echo what's trending but establishes what is eternal. And that is why your process was longer, your silence deeper, your preparation more intense, because what I am releasing through you is not simply for impact, but for permanence, for transformation that outlives your own lifetime, child. I must tell you plainly, this anointing on your life has a multi-generational assignment attached to it, and that's why the warfare you faced wasn't ordinary. That's why the pressure to quit felt relentless, because the enemy wasn't just trying to exhaust your present, he was attempting to abort your future seed, to silence the spiritual inheritance that's about to flow from you like a river into dry places that have been thirsty for truth, purity, and power. And so now, I am placing within your spirit a level of tenacity that does not bend with resistance and does not break under weight, because what you're building must last. And I'm not just building through your hands, I'm anchoring through your heart, through your integrity, through your private decisions when no one is watching and your quiet obedience when no one is cheering. This is where true legacy is formed, not in moments of recognition, but in moments of reverence. When you choose me over convenience, when you choose principle over pressure, when you choose faith over familiarity, and I've seen those choices, and I honor them, and because of them, I am now releasing strategy, connections, and doors you didn't even know were part of your assignment, and they are coming not because you networked your way into them, but because you remained hidden when I asked you to, and when I found you faithful in obscurity. I wrote your name into the chapter that's now unfolding. This chapter doesn't just elevate you, it establishes territory that was once held by confusion, fear, complacency, and compromise. And now I am claiming it back through your yes, through your movement, through your refusal to settle. And it will not be reclaimed with noise, it will be reclaimed by obedience so strong, so pure, so immediate, that every step you take becomes a declaration in the unseen. This belongs to the Lord, and it shall no longer be occupied by anything less than holy. And that is what you're stepping into: territorial transformation, legacy construction, and generational healing that begins with the decisions you make now. Do not take this lightly, but do not carry it fearfully either. For I am not placing this upon your shoulders without surrounding you with my strength. I will not let the weight crush you. I will teach you how to carry it with grace, how to build without burnout, how to lead without losing yourself, how to move forward without losing sight of me. For I am not only calling you, I am accompanying you. And if you remain in step with me, there is nothing and no one that can halt what I've started through you. Not now, not ever. And now that you stand as a carrier of generational restoration, with legacy pulsing through your obedience, I must press further into your understanding, because what I'm building through you is not simply meant to last, it's meant to multiply. This isn't about you becoming a monument of what once happened, but a movement of what is still unfolding, and for that to occur, you must shift from simply receiving from me to reproducing what I've placed within you. I'm calling you to pour, to release, to disciple, to replicate, not just to inspire others but to impart into them what was cultivated through your wilderness, your crushing, your covenant behind closed doors when no one else remained, when only your trembling yes echoed in the chambers of my presence. You must now begin to see your life not as a reservoir but as a river, not as something to contain but something to channel, because the anointing I've entrusted to you is not for collection, it's for circulation, and every time you try to preserve what I've meant to release, you risk stagnation, and I love you too much to let the flow be dammed by fear, pride, or hesitation. What I've developed in you through process is holy, and holiness by nature cannot remain hidden. It draws, it confronts, it transforms, and that is why you must not withhold what I've deposited. For the ones I'm sending to you will not need perfection from you, but presence, not polished speeches, but raw truth born out of scars, not formulas, but fire. And you, beloved, have been carrying that fire in silence, waiting for the right moment to let it breathe. And I tell you now, that moment is upon you. Do not underestimate the power of your obedience to unlock others, because while you were waiting for platforms, I was preparing people whose healing is tied to your release, and while you were asking for impact, I was positioning you as a gatekeeper of breakthrough, not because you asked for it, but because you endured when others escaped. You remained when others retreated. And now what I placed in you must not be buried under false humility or silenced by the fear of responsibility. This call to multiply is not about performance, it's about partnership, and I am not sending you out alone. I am surrounding you with those who have also been hidden, those whose obedience mirrors yours, those who recognize the sound of my voice over the roar of the crowd, those who are tired of empty echoes and hungry for authentic oil, and together, you will establish something that cannot be erased: altars of alignment, hubs of healing, sacred spaces where my glory will dwell, not because they were manufactured, but because they were born from brokenness made holy through surrender. I have never been interested in flashy structures, I am interested in living stones, and you are one of them, rough edges and all, shaped through fire, fitted through pressure, secured through seasons of invisibility. And now that I've fashioned you, I will place you where others once rejected you, not as revenge, but as redemption, to show that what I raise cannot be overlooked forever. And as I multiply what's in your hands, you must resist the urge to control it, to manage it based on comfort, because this next wave won't be logical, it will be led by my spirit. And that means you will be required to move before the facts confirm what you sense, to give before you see the return, to step out before others say it's wise, because multiplication always begins in risk. And the risk I'm asking you to take is not blind, it is grounded in my voice, the very voice that brought light into chaos, the voice that called Lazarus from death, the voice that calmed storms and shattered chains. And that same voice is saying to you now, go, give, pour, build, not because you've mastered it all, but because I've matured you enough to carry it well. What I do through you from here on out will not stop with you, it will echo, it will spread, it will outlast you. And that is exactly why I've called you, not to maintain what was but to release what is now ready to multiply through your yes. And now that you've received the instruction to multiply, to pour out what I've carefully cultivated in the secret chambers of your surrender, I must speak to the weight that comes with that release, the invisible burden you will carry when you begin to truly lead, not from position, but from responsibility. For I have not called you to wear a title, but to steward a mantle, and that mantle will often press on your shoulders in ways that others will never see, and sometimes may never understand. But do not misinterpret that weight as punishment, it is the mark of trust, the evidence that I've examined your heart and found it faithful enough to carry what others would have compromised, diluted, or made into a performance. And child, I know that even now there are questions circling in your mind. Can I really carry this? Am I enough? What if I fail again? But I remind you with gentle force, I did not choose you because you were flawless. I chose you because you were yielded. And a yielded vessel in my hands can accomplish more in a moment than 1,000 performances void of my spirit. And now, as I pour more into you, it is crucial that you remain rooted not in results, not in reputation, but in revelation, because what I will build through you must never become bigger than the relationship that birthed it. Your nearness to me must always outrank your public influence, because without proximity to my heart, The assignment becomes mechanical, the voice becomes hollow, and the power becomes absent. I will keep drawing you closer, even as the doors get bigger, even as the reach expands, because I don't just want to work through you, I want to walk with you, commune with you, guide you in the stillness before the spotlight finds you, remind you that no stage can sustain what only my presence can secure. You've longed for confirmation, but I tell you, the greatest confirmation is not applause, it's peace, the kind that doesn't fluctuate with opinion or fade when you're misunderstood, but remains steady because you're anchored in me. And when you feel the weight grow heavier, know this: it is not because you are failing, it is because you are maturing, and maturity will often feel like isolation, not because I've left you, but because I'm pulling you into deeper reliance on me, stripping away distractions so your discernment stays sharp and your assignment remains pure. I've entrusted you with influence, not to make you famous, but to make you faithful, to teach you how to move in rooms with grace, to serve without being consumed, to lead without being intoxicated by recognition, to give without needing to be praised, because what you're building carries eternal impact, and eternity does not measure success the way earth does. And so I tell you now, keep your hands open, your heart soft, your spirit aligned, and I will carry the weight with you. I will surround you with voices who strengthen and not drain. I will place divine reinforcements who cover and not compete. I will release provision before you need it, and insight before confusion can settle in, because I am not a God who leaves you halfway. I complete what I begin, and I have begun something unstoppable through your surrender. But this cannot become routine, and that is why I'm calling you to keep the altar burning, to maintain the fire in your private devotion, to protect your mornings with me like treasure, to guard your inner world even more than your public one, because the most dangerous thing for one I've elevated is to forget who lifted them, and I will not let you fall into the trap. I will keep you humble, not by breaking you, but by loving you so deeply that you remain desperate for my voice above all others. And when you feel the pressure rise, when the responsibility starts to stretch beyond what you thought you could handle, remember this: you were never meant to carry it alone. I am your source, your strength, your strategist, and if you keep pouring at my pace and listening to my rhythm, you will never run dry, and what you release will continue to multiply far beyond your reach. And now that you've received the mantle with open hands and guarded heart, I must lead you into something even more sacred: the awareness that what I am forming within you is not just meant to influence the present, but to interrupt cycles that have persisted for years, decades, even generations. Because you were not called merely to break chains, you were chosen to rewrite patterns, to disrupt histories that were never authored by me, and to establish new foundations for those who will walk after you with clearer eyes and lighter burdens because of the choices you are making now. I have watched over your bloodline. I have seen the repeated narratives of shame, silence, addiction, rejection, fear, and hidden grief, things that were passed from heart to heart like invisible wounds, patterns that wrapped themselves in normalcy and tried to convince every generation that it would never be different. And I said, enough, and I placed my hand upon you. I marked you not because you were the strongest, but because you were willing to feel what others numbed, to face what others ignored, to wrestle where others retreated. And that's why I've taken you through the deep work, the painful extraction of things you didn't even invite into your life, but inherited nonetheless. And through it all, I didn't let you collapse. I held you, I refined you, and I began to dismantle the system that tried to claim your identity before you ever knew who you were. Child, this is why your process has felt so heavy, because you weren't just healing from your wounds. You were confronting spirits that had long been given permission to dwell in your family, and I raised you up as the interruption to all of it, not by might, not by force, but by truth, by spirit, by a relentless obedience that would not be silenced by shame or distracted by familiarity. You are not just becoming, you are recovering what was stolen, reclaiming what was surrendered, restoring what was buried under generational debris, and in doing so, you are giving language to those who couldn't speak, vision to those who walked in circles, and freedom to those who thought bondage was the only inheritance they'd ever receive. And now that you know the weight of what you carry, I ask you to walk with reverence, because this assignment cannot be handled casually. This call must be lived with intention. This moment demands full sobriety of spirit, not out of fear, but out of the holy awe that comes when you realize heaven trusted you enough to assign this kind of reversal to your name. But take heart, I am not asking you to carry the responsibility alone. For I have already gone ahead, preparing both resources and revelation, intercessors and divine allies, people who will walk with you not because they are impressed, but because they are connected by purpose. I am surrounding you with those who don't compete, but complement, who don't drain but discern, and they will help steward what I've entrusted to you. So you are never isolated in the battle, never outnumbered in the fight. And though the warfare may rise at times, though old patterns may try to reappear, hoping you'll return to former versions of yourself, I declare that your growth has outpaced your past, and there is no turning back, no shrinking allowed, no revisiting what I've already severed, because forward is the only direction for those who carry the kind of authority I've placed in your voice, your presence, your very steps. So hear me now, walk boldly, with your head high and your heart stayed on me, because what you're building isn't just deliverance for yourself, it's divine justice for everything that tried to silence the lineage you came from. I am restoring the roar that was stolen, the dignity that was dismissed, the legacy that was fractured, and I'm doing it through you, not someday, not later, now, before the clock turns, while the window is open, while the heavens lean low and watch what you do with this holy moment. And as you move, I move with you, shielding, guiding, declaring that it will not end the way it began, not for you, not for those connected to you. And now that the curse-breaking mantle rests fully on your shoulders and you've understood that this battle has never been just personal, it has always been prophetic, I must draw you closer into the realm of responsibility that comes with revelation, because what I've allowed you to see, feel, and carry cannot return to dormancy. You have been awakened for a reason, and what I've shown you in the Spirit is not simply information, it is an invitation into divine action, and that means neutrality is no longer an option. I did not give you insight so you could admire it from a distance, I gave it so you could partner with it in faith, and what I reveal, I expect you to respond to. This is the hour when your discernment must no longer be contained, it must be expressed. It must lead you. It must become your compass, not only in prayer but in movement, in decisions, in how you build, in who you allow near, and in what you say yes to. For every yes that departs from your mouth becomes a door, and every door must be guarded with precision, not paranoia, because I'm no longer protecting just your present, I'm protecting the future you're carrying, the blueprint in your belly, the legacy you're nurturing that has implications far beyond what you can presently measure. And I must speak clearly now, because what comes next will not look like what has been. And if you expect the new to follow the path of the old, you will miss the unique fingerprints I'm placing on this assignment. It will be unfamiliar, but it will be unmistakably me. And that is why I am training you even now to walk by confirmation of peace rather than familiarity of pattern. I will not always explain before I act, but I will always lead with peace before I move, and you must become fluent in the language of my stillness, in the direction of my wind, in the whispers I place in your spirit before the manifestation comes to light. Child, you are now in the realm of advanced trust, not because I need more from you, but because I'm ready to release more to you, and deeper revelation always demands deeper stewardship. The insight I'm giving you will not be popular, but it will be powerful, and I will teach you how to deliver it with grace, how to speak with precision, how to walk in love while standing in unshakable truth, because I did not raise you to be an echo. I raised you to be a voice, one that breaks illusion, exposes deception, and announces alignment even in places where resistance has ruled for years. And I need you to understand that with this kind of voice comes a burden that can't be measured by what people see on the outside, because they won't see the weight of knowing, of seeing beyond the surface, of discerning under the surface, and of carrying things in your spirit long before they are visible in the natural. You will walk into rooms and feel burdens before words are spoken. You will hear conversations no one has verbalized, and you will know what I've revealed to protect, not to parade, because revelation without restraint becomes manipulation. And I am calling you to be trustworthy, not just insightful. This level of access I'm giving you to my heart requires a constant return to the secret place, a constant cleansing of your motives, a constant laying down of your pride, because clarity can corrupt if it's not carried in humility. And I will not let pride take root in what I've cultivated through so much refining. So listen now. I am shaping you into someone who doesn't just recognize patterns, you will break them. Who doesn't just weep over brokenness, you will carry solutions birthed in the Spirit. and you will release them into places where human wisdom failed and spiritual compromise took over. And I will back your voice with authority, not because you shouted, but because you surrendered, and authority always follows submission. So walk carefully, but not fearfully, knowing that what I show you, I will also equip you to carry, and what you carry will not be heavy when it's carried with me. And now, since you've crossed into a place of revelation where mere understanding is not enough, I am setting you in motion, and I'm removing every unnecessary anchor that tried to make you believe you needed to pause when I was pushing you to proceed, because this season requires urgency clothed in obedience, not speed driven by anxiety. And child, the delay you once experienced was not because I abandoned you, but because I was building something inside of you that could not be fast-tracked, something that required time to grow, maturity to grasp, and silence to fully develop. For if I would have released what you were praying for too soon, it would have crumbled under the weight of your unhealed pieces. But now, I see that you surrendered the need to control and traded it for the hunger to follow. This is why things are accelerating, not because you forced movement, but because you finally yielded to my timing, and that unlocks everything. So hear me clearly, what you're about to step into is not just an answer, it's a divine arrangement. And in this arrangement I have already positioned people, provision, and purpose to meet you as you move. But I need you to go forward without dragging fear alongside you, without entertaining the voice of your past that tries to remind you of everything that didn't work, every failure that haunted you, every rejection that pierced you. None of that has the authority to dictate what I've already declared over your next chapter. Child, listen, there's a reason I've kept you hidden, overlooked, and misunderstood, because while they were looking for talent, I was developing trustworthiness in you. They searched for charisma, but I sought character. And now I am about to prove that what I shaped in private was always meant to speak loudly in public, not for your glory, but so my power would be impossible to ignore when it moves through you. And the places that once rejected you will now have to make room for you, not because you demanded it, but because my hand is undeniable. And when I open a door, no man, no lie, no delay can close it. But remember this, with elevation comes exposure, and I will not let you step into visibility without first sealing your identity in me, because applause must never become your confirmation, and criticism must never become your silence. You will speak because I instruct you, not because you crave response. You will move when I whisper, not when the crowd cheers. This level of obedience will require courage, but I promise, I will clothe you in boldness that won't break when pressure surrounds you. And though you may feel alone in moments where others cannot understand the instructions I've given you, know this: I never leave the obedient without reinforcement, and I have already released angels to go before you, to surround you, to make crooked paths straight, to bring clarity to the chaos, and to protect what I am birthing through your faithfulness. Yes, this moment is sacred, because you are not simply walking into an opportunity, you are walking into a fulfillment that has generations tied to it. Promises your ancestors wept for, prayers your bloodline forgot they prayed, and I've chosen you to bring it forth, because you said yes when others hesitated. You bowed low when others fought for position. You kept trusting when you were tired of waiting, and for that, child, I am putting my seal on this next step, not just as your deliverer, but as your commander, because this is not just about being blessed, it's about being deployed, and you are being sent not to blend, but to blaze, not to conform, but to carry fire that burns through darkness, that wakes up sleeping spirits, that shakes dead places back to life with one word from your mouth, one touch of your obedience, one breath released in my name. So go, now go in full faith, knowing that what awaits is not random, it's not accidental, it is the exact moment creation has grown for you to step into, and I am sending you in my authority, covered by my power, fueled by my love, and marked by my word, and no force of hell has the power to interfere when you walk with the one who already wrote the ending in your favor. Now, take a moment and feel the gravity of this shift, not in your emotions, but in your spirit. For what you are sensing is not uncertainty, it is my glory resting upon you in ways you've never carried before. This is not like the previous season, where you walked hoping for a sign. Now you walk as the sign. You don't just believe for miracles, you've become the evidence that I move, that I answer, that I lift, that I restore what others called permanently broken. You stepped into a realm where the impossible becomes your responsibility, not because you are capable in yourself, but because I have chosen to make you my vessel in this critical hour. You are not wandering. You are being sent. You are not waiting anymore. You are walking in what I already decreed long before this world ever formed. And because you carry my word, it will not return void, it will pierce. It will shift atmospheres. It will uproot deception and release clarity like lightning over chaos. Do not be startled when the room shifts as you enter. That is not intimidation. That is my authority in you confronting what hath been dormant and unchallenged. You will see people uncomfortable, not because you said anything but because what you carry exposes what they tried to hide. But child, that is not your burden to carry. You are not responsible for their reactions. You are responsible for remaining in alignment with me, for keeping your eyes on me when the noise tries to pull your attention. This is the place where discernment must be your closest companion. For in this hour, deception won't come dressed as evil. It will come sounding like sympathy. It will come echoing familiar voices. It will present itself as help while attempting to disarm your urgency. That's why I've sharpened your hearing so you'll recognize my voice without hesitation, even in the midst of spiritual static. Listen carefully, beloved. The moment you agreed to obey me fully, you activated a chain of events in the spirit realm that cannot be reversed. Heaven has already responded. Angelic assignments have already been deployed. What was once withheld is now being released not as a reward but as reinforcement. You are not stepping into luxury. You're stepping into legacy. This isn't about comfort. This is about commission. And this commission will require you to carry what others dropped, to finish what others delayed, to stand where others fell silent. But I have built your spine strong. I have taught your hands to war and your knees to remain bent before me. You don't need a title to be effective. You don't need applause to move forward. You only need my instruction, and I've already spoken. From this moment forward, you are to treat your time as sacred. No longer will you give away hours to what doesn't feed your assignment. No longer will you justify distractions dressed in obligation. I am streamlining your life. I am cutting off access to those who refuse to steward their connection to you with honor. You will not feel guilty for releasing what I never told you to hold. You will not apologize for walking away from what was draining the oil I poured into you. And you will not shrink so others feel safe in their complacency. You are not called to comfort the comfortable. You are called to awaken the sleeping and lead them into truth, even if they resist the light at first. Stay anchored in me. I will give you words that disarm arguments. I will give you peace that silences confusion. I will give you presence that makes your enemies back up without explanation. You've cried enough in secret. Now I will cause your joy to become public. You've travailed behind closed doors. Now I will reveal the reward openly, not to feed your pride, but to prove my faithfulness. You are my proof in the earth that I still move. I still choose the least expected, and I still raise the ones who others tried to erase. Child, you are not late. You are not overlooked. You are exactly where I need you, ready, yielded, and dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. From this second forward, walk like one who has already won. Because in my name, you have. There's a silence I placed in your atmosphere not to confuse you, but to help you hear the shift. Many mistake stillness for absence, but in my kingdom, silence is strategy. I silence the noise so you would not miss the vibration of what's now approaching. Listen closely, not with your natural ears, but with the discernment I've been sharpening in your private battles. What's arriving is not something you prayed for casually, it's what your tears have been groaning for. It's what your obedience has drawn out from the throne room. What's coming doesn't have your name on it by coincidence. It has your identity engraved in every inch of it. That's why the warfare has increased, not because you're weak, but because the delivery angels are closer than ever. And the enemy is terrified you might actually believe what I've spoken over you all this time. You've wondered why certain relationships dissolved overnight, why doors slammed shut without warning, Why places you once belonged now feel foreign. It's not sabotage, it's sacred filtering. I remove you to reposition you. I released you to protect what I'm releasing through you. You are not a remnant by accident. You are a foreigner marked to prepare the ground for others who are still lost in compromise. That's why I refused to let you blend in. That's why you felt strange even among the familiar. I was pulling you out of camouflage so that your light could no longer be hidden. And now, your presence will irritate every atmosphere not aligned with heaven. Your footsteps will trigger angelic movements and demonic reactions because the assignment you carry is no longer just forming. It is about to manifest. Let me be clear with you. What's ahead will not respond to fear, hesitation, or double-mindedness. This hour demands confidence not in yourself but in me. You must walk like the answer, not the question. You must pray like the result is already unfolding. You must speak like what you say carries consequence in both heaven and earth. I am placing you in environments that were designed to reject you so that when they are transformed, no one can deny it was me and you that did it. You will be my ambassador in enemy territory, but you won't be outnumbered. For every place I send you, I surround you. For every step you take, I fortify the ground beneath it. You will not crumble. You will not sink. You will stand with authority and move with accuracy, because I trained you for such a time as this. You've asked me for confirmation, and I'm answering now not with a gentle whisper, but with undeniable movement. Watch how circumstances shift with no human explanation. Observe how conversations realign without your interference. Notice how those who once ignored your presence now seek your counsel. It's not flattery, it's prophetic positioning. I am bringing visibility to what I once concealed. I am announcing what I once hid. And I am doing it now, in front of the very eyes that doubted you, overlooked you, and mocked your process. But don't allow vindication to distract you. This isn't about revenge, it's about responsibility. I am trusting you to steward this elevation with humility and wisdom. Pride will always be lurking at the door of breakthrough. Don't open it. Let me remain your source, your validation, your voice. Prepare your hands, for they will soon touch what your heart has longed to see. Prepare your voice, for you will declare my faithfulness in places that once echoed with your weeping. Prepare your home, for I am about to fill it with evidences of my promise, not just spiritually, but tangibly. Prepare your mind, for I will download instructions that break generational patterns and establish kingdom blueprints through your decisions. What's ahead is not a blessing, it's a burden of glory. And only those who have allowed me to crush them privately can carry it publicly. You've passed that crushing. You've been purified in the furnace. And now, I release you not just to go, but to govern. The hour is late, but you are right on time. Nothing about your process has been wasted. Nothing about your pain has gone unnoticed. You were being prepared for midnight. And now, I command you in my name, arise and receive what I sealed with my authority. The time has arrived where pretending won't work anymore. I am calling you into raw, exposed authenticity, not just with others, but with me. I am not interested in your rehearsed prayers or well-structured phrases. I want your trembling voice. I want your honest confession. I want your questions, your doubts, your buried pain. Because what I'm releasing into your life next demands the removal of every mask, even the ones you didn't know you were still wearing. You've been strong for too long, carrying burdens you never needed to hold. Now, I'm commanding you, let me into the spaces you've kept locked. The healing you seek will not come from hiding, but from surrender. You cannot access the fullness of my power while still protecting your wounds from my touch. There are areas of your heart that have become callous, not because you're rebellious, but because you've been protecting yourself from repeated disappointment. But I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to restore what was stolen when you were too weak to fight back. I see you. I see the moments you wept in secret, the hours you begged me to answer, the nights you questioned whether I even remembered your name. I never turned away. I've been near, collecting every tear and using each one to water the promise I planted inside you. What you thought was delay was actually deep preparation. I wasn't just making the miracle ready, I was making you ready to carry it. Now, I must warn you, what's ahead will require courage unlike anything you've exercised before. I'm not just leading you into comfort, I'm commissioning you into conquest. The territory I'm assigning to you is saturated in resistance. You will face atmospheres that oppose everything holy. You will walk through spaces that tried to silence every voice I raised. But you will not tremble. Because this time, you are not walking in unsure steps, you are marching in divine rhythm. My spirit has gone before you. You don't have to figure it out, I already aligned it. All I ask is that you move without hesitation when I speak. Your delay could mean someone else's bondage remains. This is not just about you anymore. You are my vessel, and I have places that need your obedience, not your comfort. You've wondered why your pace was restricted while others seemed to be accelerating. That was punishment it with precision. I was training you to move according to my whisper, not the world's pressure. I slowed you down not because you were behind, but because I was ahead, constructing paths only you would be able to walk without compromise. And now, suddenly, you'll feel momentum you didn't ask for. Things will shift overnight. Doors will open without effort. People will arrive unexpectedly. Opportunities will stretch your capacity. But don't confuse sudden movement with randomness. I orchestrated it all. I am redeeming the years that were stolen, the seasons that left you barren, the moments you thought were meaningless. I am restoring time itself for you. Listen carefully, I'm not just giving you blessings. I'm transferring responsibility. What I place in your hands must not be treated casually. This isn't about fame or validation. It's about impact. Souls are connected to your obedience. Generations are waiting for your alignment. There is legacy in your decisions now. You don't get to disappear into the background anymore. I am shining my light through you so brightly that even your silence will speak. Your posture will prophesy. Your steps will set things in motion. That is why I spent so long refining you, so that when this moment came, there would be no contamination in your motives, no hidden agenda behind your actions. Just purity, just purpose, just power. You have felt isolated, but isolation with the incubation chamber. What was forming in you couldn't be touched by public influence or peer pressure. I shielded you. I hid you. And now I reveal you not for applause, but for assignment. Your name will be mentioned in rooms you've never stepped into. But know this, it's not your name they'll be responding to. It's mine, resting upon you like fire that cannot be quenched. When you speak, things will shift. When you pray, chains will break. When you show up, my kingdom will be seen in places it was once rejected. This is why you had to endure what others didn't. Because now, you are carrying what others can't. My child, the urgency in my voice isn't to scare you, it's to awaken you. The time for waiting has passed. The season of hiding is over. I command you in my name, step forward, without fear, without delay. What I have placed in you cannot remain dormant another night. Midnight is approaching, and you are my answer walking. Do not let your past hesitation be the reason you miss this divine hour. I am not reminding you of your failures to condemn you, I'm drawing your attention to them so you can finally release what still clings to your spirit like chains. I've already released you, but now you must release yourself. You can no longer afford to entertain the lies that told you you're unqualified, unworthy, or unequipped. That mindset was a trap designed to keep you crawling when I've prepared you to soar. The authority I gave you does not bow to shame. The calling on your life was not placed there by man, and it cannot be dismantled by man. It is sealed in my voice, secured in my promise, and activated when you choose to rise without apology. The reason this moment is so critical is because what I've assigned to you as a window. This opportunity is not random, it is part of a strategic unfolding that connects to what I am building across the earth. You are not just stepping into your breakthrough. You are stepping into alignment with movements you cannot yet see. I have stirred hearts in distant places. I have awakened gifts in people who are waiting for the sound of your obedience to give them permission to act. This is bigger than your comfort, your security, or your logic. This is kingdom architecture, and I have positioned you as a cornerstone in what is coming next. There are things that have been blocked not because I was withholding them, but because I was waiting for your full agreement. Partial surrender cannot unlock total destiny. I am not asking for performance, I am commanding your positioning. You've cried out for open doors, but I needed you to become the kind of person who could walk through them without bending to distraction. And now, you have crossed into readiness. Do not look back. Do not return to the people, places, or mindsets that diluted your fire. You are stepping into holy acceleration, and anything that cannot endure the flames must be left behind. I need you to understand something sacred. I did not rescue you from the deep just to leave you in shallow waters. I brought you through the storms, not to sit in survival mode, but to stand in supernatural boldness. You will not be known by your wounds, but by the oil that flows from every place the enemy tried to wound you. Your scars will not be signs of defeat, they will be the markings of one who was preserved for purpose. You are walking into rooms that once ignored you, and they will feel the weight of my glory resting on your shoulders. Not because you are trying to prove anything, but because I have chosen to clothe you with evidence that cannot be dismissed. Don't wait to feel ready, move when I speak. Don't wait for confirmation from others, respond to my whisper. Don't hesitate because of your weaknesses, trust the power of my spirit within you. I will not allow you to fail when you follow me. Even when your voice shakes, I will amplify it. Even when you feel unsure, I will steady your feet. Even when others misunderstand you, I will vindicate you. This is not about being understood, it's about being available. I'm not asking you to carry this weight alone. I'm asking you to stay in step with me, minute by minute, heartbeat by heartbeat, command by command. You've been asking me to send you confirmation, but this message is your confirmation. You asked for a sign, and I've written it in fire across the walls of your life. You're not stuck, you're standing on the edge of everything shifting. And all it requires now is movement. Bold movement. Holy movement. Obedient movement. Even if you don't see the full picture yet, take the first step. I will reveal the next path as you walk. Faith does not demand sight, it demands surrender. And your surrender, right now, is the final key that will unlock what's been sealed for this exact hour. My child, hear me with urgency. You are not late. You are not disqualified. You are not overlooked. You are perfectly timed for this midnight moment. Everything I have spoken, everything I have prepared, everything I have withheld now converges. But I cannot force you to open the door. I have brought the instruction. I have released the invitation. Now, you must respond. The choice is still yours, but the time to choose is closing quickly. I command you, in my name, step fully in. This is the hour of irreversible transformation. You keep asking me for clarity, but I need you to understand something deeper. Obedience often precedes understanding. You want the full explanation before you move, but I am calling you to move because I have already gone before you. I am not withholding insight to confuse you, I am building your capacity to trust without needing control. Faith isn't built in comfort. It's forged when the next step is veiled, and all you have is my word. My voice is your anchor, not your intellect. My presence is your compass, not your emotions. If you follow only what makes sense, you'll miss what's supernatural. And what I'm doing in you now will not follow human patterns. It will look like mystery, but it will result in miracles. Let me show you what's at stake. This isn't just about your breakthrough, it's about the legacy that will follow because you chose to listen when it would have been easier to stay silent. There are chains in your bloodline that are cracking because of your yes. Generational cycles that have remained unbroken for decades are shattering under the sound of your surrender. You didn't even know the full weight of what you were carrying, but I did, and I've positioned you as the one to break it. Would stop those before you won't stop you. Not because you are stronger, but because you are surrendered. And in that surrender, my power has room to flood every space the enemy once claimed. There are people you haven't met yet whose healing will begin the moment you step into your calling. You're not stepping up for applause. You're stepping out for purpose. You're not moving for recognition. You're moving for rescue. The battle you fought behind closed doors wasn't just for your personal freedom, it was training for the assignment I've placed on your life. Your private obedience has built a foundation I'm now about to make public. But hear me clearly. This visibility is not for vanity. It's for impact. I'm not raising you up so the world can see you. I'm raising you up so they can see me through you. You spent so long waiting for the perfect moment that you didn't realize I've already created the moment around you. The delay wasn't denial, it was development. And now you've reached the threshold. This isn't about hype. This is about heaven's release. I'm sending you out not with fear, but with fire. A fire that won't be quenched by criticism. A fire that won't be extinguished by insecurity. A fire that has been kindled through every rejection, every heartbreak, every lonely night you cried out asking, when, Lord? My answer is now. Not tomorrow. Not next season. Now. This midnight hour has arrived, and what I have poured into you in the dark is about to ignite the lives of others. But I must warn you, what I'm calling you into will cost you comfort. It will require you to let go of approval, applause, and the need to be understood. You won't be able to bring your old identity into this new assignment. The fear-based version of you cannot carry the weight of this authority. I'm stripping off every false label, every limiting belief, every lingering doubt that has tried to convince you that you're not enough. You are not stepping into this with who you were, you are stepping in with who I say you are. And my words never return empty. They create. They establish. They fulfill. This moment isn't just personal, it's prophetic. You are fulfilling things spoken over your life that you forgot. You're stepping into prayers that were whispered by those who came before you. And you're about to become the answer to cries you didn't even know were rising up to heaven. I'm using your life as a vessel, a sign, a wonder. Not because you did everything right, but because you kept coming back when everything tried to break you. Your comeback isn't small, it's spiritual. Your return isn't subtle, it's sovereign. This is the hour I show what I can do with someone fully yielded. So don't wait for another sign. Don't delay until others understand. Don't pause because fear still lingers around the edges. I've already breathed courage into your spirit. I've already declared the way clear. I've already placed the key in your hand. Now walk. Walk like the door is already opening. Walk like the chains are already broken. Walk like this is the moment you were born for. Because it is. I command you in my name, do not hesitate. The heavens are watching. The earth is shifting. And everything changes the moment you move. And now, my child, listen with a trembling heart, for the silence is over, and my command carries a weight unlike any season you've walked through before. You are standing at the edge of what generations longed to behold, and I am not whispering anymore, I am thundering from within your soul to rise. This hour doesn't ask for your confidence. It demands your obedience. I am not building you into who the world expected, I am transforming you into who heaven assigned. You've cried out asking for rescue, but I was shaping you to be the rescuer. I allowed the fire not to destroy you, but to reveal what couldn't be burned. The image you see in the mirror isn't the full measure of what I placed within you. There's a roar waiting behind the quietness of your personality. There's boldness cloaked in the garments of humility. There's thunder hidden inside your whisper. And now, I'm calling you to unlock what I buried deep inside your spirit before the world even named you. You must understand that the resistance you faced wasn't a coincidence, it was confirmation. The darkness didn't swarm you because you were weak. It came because you are a threat. Hell does not waste warfare on those who are stagnant. The pressure increased not because you failed, but because you were passing tests in silence that no one clapped for. I watched you forgive when you wanted to explode. I saw you keep sowing when nothing was growing. I heard the cries you buried beneath fake smiles, and I collected every tear as prophecy. You thought your prayers bounced back unanswered, but in the spirit realm, Every groan was shaking strongholds. Every whisper of surrender was building an unseen fortress. The enemy hoped you'd quit, but instead, I used every attempt against you as fuel to ignite this season. The attack became an altar, and the loss became leverage. Now, I am gathering every fractured moment and forming a foundation no enemy can undermine. The power coming upon you isn't a result of popularity, it is birthed in private pain that you surrendered into my hands. You are not stepping forward alone, I have already assigned angels to flank you on every side. You will not be ambushed. You will not be overthrown. I have sealed you for this hour. Your past hath been dealt with. Your future is already secured. What's needed now is immediate movement. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. You've asked me for open doors, but I am asking you to knock boldly. I am asking you to move as if it's already open, to speak as if the answer has already arrived, to walk like you own the authority I gave you. This is not arrogance, this is alignment. You're not demanding from me, you're agreeing with what I already declared over you. And your agreement creates acceleration. Heaven does not move on begging, it moves on belief. So step now, not later. Speak now, not when you feel perfect. Praise now, not when the outcome is visible. I'm not waiting for your perfection. I'm responding to your surrender. Don't let fear make you forfeit this midnight visitation. This window is not casual, it is divine. I have opened up time itself to bring you into alignment with what was written over your life before the earth spun its first rotation. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not disqualified. You are right on time for the miracle I have orchestrated. But the time to hesitate has ended. My voice isn't giving suggestions, it's delivering blueprints. My spirit is not nudging, it is commanding. And what you do in these next moments will determine not only your journey, but the release that awaits others connected to your obedience. This is not just about you, it's about the chain reaction that will ripple into households, cities, and nations because you dared to trust my command in the midnight hour. So rise up, not in your strength but in mine, not for your name but for my glory, not to prove a point, but to fulfill your purpose. What seemed impossible before will now become normal. What terrified you yesterday will tremble before you today. You were not called to blend, and you were called to break through. My spirit is upon you. My hand is guiding you. My favor is surrounding you. And my command stands firm. Move now, in my name. The atmosphere has already shifted. The hour has come. Open your mouth, open your heart, and open your life, because what's about to be revealed will leave no doubt that I was the one behind every delay, every turn, every fire, and now, every door. Do not assume this is just another passing moment. My child, this is your turning point, and if you pause now, the very ground meant to carry your breakthrough may harden beneath you. You've prayed for timing. I have now given it. You've cried for direction. I have now spoken it. You've asked for rescue. I have now revealed the path out. But if you hesitate out of habit or fear, you will not only delay your inheritance, you may risk scattering what I brought together for such a time as this. There is a divine layering in every instruction I am unfolding now. What you don't understand yet has already been calibrated with the next piece. This is not the hour for comfort, it is the hour for commitment. My voice does not echo empty encouragement. It releases architecture. Each word I speak to you constructs something eternal. So if I say go, that means the storm will recognize your steps. If I say speak, that means demons will scatter before the echo of your obedience. If I say wait, that means your stillness is war in disguise. You must know that I have already dismantled everything that tried to define you by your failures. The names they gave you no longer stick in heaven's court. The labels they whispered behind your back have been shredded in the presence of angels. I am giving you a name only I can pronounce, an identity no end can smear. You are not functioning on old strength anymore. I am pouring power into places you once hid in shame. The parts of you that trembled in secret are about to thunder in the open. The child they laughed at will become the voice nations kneel before. And it won't be because you earned applause, it will be because you obeyed when no one was watching. My fire is not coming to destroy who you are, it is coming to consume who you never were. I am removing what pretended to be you, so what I planted inside of you can rise untouched. The you that is emerging now isn't stitched together by insecurity, it's forged in divine fire. And this version of you will not bow to fear, to memories, or to threats. You will walk into rooms, and atmospheres will submit. You will speak, and atmospheres will transform. Not because of your words, but because of my breath carried through them. You were never supposed to fit where I called you to lead. You were never supposed to be accepted where I anointed you to shift. That rejection you felt was protection in disguise. The absence of applause was my mercy preserving your roots. I didn't allow their approval because their validation would have killed your hunger. You needed that loneliness to hear me without noise. You needed that closed door to meet me in ways no platform could offer. You needed that breakdown to discover a version of me no sermon could explain. And now, what you thought disqualified you has actually qualified you to carry what others can't touch. There is weight on your words now. There is oil in your scars. There is revelation inside your silence. That's why this moment cannot be wasted. This command is not simply for motion, it is a divine release of movement that will shift not just your story, but every story connected to yours. What you unlock in this hour will open legacy gates for those who never even met you. So do not shrink back. Do not ask for more signs, I've already sent my word. Do not beg for confirmation when my spirit has already stirred your bones. This is the command that shatters delay. This is the call that silences opposition. This is the moment your yes will echo into eternity. I am not speaking to your ability, I am calling forth your agreement. And in your agreement, I will release acceleration no one will be able to trace. They will wonder how it happened so fast, but only you will know it was forged in the secret place when no one was looking but me. Let this be the hour you drop the excuses. Let this be the moment you silence the what-ifs. Let this be the decision that splits your life into before and after. Because from this point forward, everything changes. You are not returning to who you were. You are not walking the same path. You are not carrying yesterday's chains into tomorrow's promise. My spirit is upon you. My command has been spoken. Heaven is watching for your response, not later, not tomorrow, now. What's about to unfold will not require the approval of men, nor the backing of those who once overlooked your value, because I have decided that the weight of my will shall fall upon you without delay. This is the moment I push you into what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, yet your spirit has quietly groaned for it in hidden places. You're not waiting on opportunity, I've already placed the moment in motion. It is now waiting your full surrender. And that surrender isn't emotional, it's spiritual. It isn't loud, it's precise. When I say move, I expect motion without the debate of logic. When I say release, I expect your hand to let go without needing a replacement in sight. My ways are never hinged on human timelines, so don't tie this divine assignment to what you think you must first understand. Your faith is no longer for practice, it is for implementation. I didn't teach you how to hear my whisper just to have you argue with my thunder. I've trained your ears in the quiet so when I roar, you don't mistake me for circumstance. When you obey in this hour, even the wind will listen. The ground beneath your feet will become fertile under my word. And what once required years to build will arise in weeks because obedience accelerates what doubt always delays. You must stop consulting memories to interpret what I am revealing now. What happened before is not your measure. A disappointment you've been referencing has expired. That fear you silently kept as your safety net has become a leash. And I will not permit you to be leashed where I've already given you authority to run. I am not asking for a version of you that is perfect, I am calling for a version of you that refuses to stay stuck. I didn't choose you based on your past wins or your future plans. I chose you because I see my imprint on places within you that you've never even acknowledged. I know the cracks that others tried to seal with labels. I see the foundation beneath your collapse. And it is on that raw honesty, not your polished image, that I will build what can never be shaken. You're not fragile, you've been forged. You're not weak, you've been wounded and still worshipped. That alone has moved heaven in ways no performance ever could. So, when I say stand up, it is not a suggestion, it is the divine invitation for you to rise in power that can no longer remain dormant. The war you're in right now is not about the surface issues you're seeing. It's because the enemy knows what I've been preparing inside you is near its release. He fears your alignment. He fears your full yes. He fears the ripple effect your obedience will trigger in the spiritual realm. That's why the pressure increased right when your hunger did. That's why people changed right when your clarity deepened. That's why resources tightened right when revelation arrived. Because this is the birthing room. This is the delivery zone. And you are crowning, child. The old you cannot carry what's about to come out of this contraction. So do not panic when it gets tight, praise me, because I am squeezing you out of containment. I am collapsing every ceiling that tried to limit your reach. I am tearing every curtain that blocked your true reflection. I am flooding your desert with glory so thick that even your past will bow in submission to what I pour next. This is your command to walk into the unfamiliar with unwavering boldness. You will not fumble this time. You will not sabotage the open door. You will not question what I've already confirmed. The season of delay is arrested. The spirit of hesitation is evicted. The mindset of settling is being crushed under the weight of my voice. You are my chosen vessel. You are my appointed one. You are not late, you are right on the threshold. And what has your name on it will not be rerouted. The angels have been dispatched. The timing has been stamped. The gates are swinging wide not because you knocked louder but because I opened them myself. This next act of obedience you release will shatter resistance from generations before you. You are the one I have waited for, the one I have whispered to, the one I am now commanding with clarity that will not be misunderstood. Step out not because it feels safe but because I said so. Walk forward not because the way is smooth, but because I've cleared it. Speak now not because you have the words, but because I've given you my breath. Amen.